You ever wonder what makes a great gamer? Great gaming is not only about cheering on our teammates, but also being there to pick us up when we're down.
Guardian down!
We're a Destiny 2 podcast that focuses on three things: community, news around the gaming industry and Destiny 2, and thought-provoking topics in the game. We're Guardian Down Cast. Your stories, your community, your destiny. What's up, Guardian? Welcome to episode 270 of Guardian Down Cast, the Destiny podcast. I'm your host, Todd the Gator, and I'm a Day One Guardian who loves gaming and especially the Destiny franchise, and we talk about it. This week, it's our monthly Roundtable episode. For those of you who may be new to the podcast, once a month, I try to produce a Roundtable episode whereby members of the community bring a topic or story article or just a point of view to the table, and they introduce their topic and give their opinions and takes on it. But then we go around the table and everyone else chimes in and we add to the topic of conversation. That's what this whole episode is about. It's all about conversation and discussion. I'm really excited for today's topic, and we have 4 to talk about today. This is our 7th Roundtable episode, and if you'd like to go back and listen to our past ones, check out GuardianDownCast.com, search for episodes 239, 244, 247, 251, 262, and 266. We're trying out our first live Roundtable, and you can catch it on my YouTube channel, Todd the Gator. That's 2Ds and GATR. The link will be down in the show description if you'd like to watch the replay. For those of you in chat tonight, if you'd like to comment on our topics or have a question for us, make sure you at RNGGator or at ElmmerFuddGames in the chat before entering your question or comment, and we'll highlight them for me to see. For our audio listeners, I haven't forgot about you guys. I'll also be bringing over the highlights of this week in Destiny. Got a lot to talk about Titans this week, and I have some final thoughts as well. But first, introductions are in order. Our first member of the Roundtable is a first-time Roundtabler, and he has been a mod in our Discord community. He's been here from the very beginning. I think it's going on 5 years now. He's been a positive force in our community and is a fellow Gator fan, which always scores points with me. I know him from the Dad's Tales podcast Discord over 6 years ago now, I think. You can catch his original interview with us way back on episode 26, but he's been on the show. Let me see. Episode 61, 73, 88, 108, 126. I've actually met him and his wonderful family in person as well. And even though he's doctored the photo of us together to make him look a few inches taller than me, he's still considered a good friend. From the great state of North Carolina, it's Mr. RNGGator. How you doing, man?
I am doing great. All that is lies at the end, but it's okay.
You got no proof, man. You got no proof.
Sure.
Thank you, man, for coming on tonight. This is fun.
Not a problem.
The second member of our Roundtable today was on Guardian Down Cast as a past guest. He really doesn't need an introduction, but I'm going to brag about him anyway today. We heard his episode back on episode 5 titled Hunting for Wabbits and Hazelnuts, where we heard about his Destiny journey and his gaming life. Since then, he's been on episodes 29, 56, 66, 73, 88, 107, 123, 144, 159, 214, and 257. But he's never been on a Roundtable episode. He's had his very own gaming community longer than we've been a podcast, and he's also been a supporter of the Guardian Down Cast community as well. I consider him my brother from another mother, from the great state of Wyoming, and he's truly been an inspiration to me all these years. And I also co-hosted a recent UK raid race, and man, let me tell you, he is the consummate professional and made my first time commentator job really fun. And he's organized many other community gaming tournaments as well. He's also a part of the United States Postal Service, so thank you for your service. You can catch him streaming multiple games on his Twitch channel, where he's an affiliate Twitch partner. I'm really looking forward to hearing his topic tonight, so please welcome ElmmerFuddGames. Did I brag enough?
No, not even close, dude. I was gonna come in here with tears and a soft heart, but no, dude. Let's take it from the top. You can do better than that.
That means between the two of you guys, you have been on my show 17 times, not including community episodes. So I think I'm pretty confident these two guys will be great co-hosts tonight.
I think so.
Before we get into our topics though tonight, let's go around the table and just see what's been going on with our lives this month so far. I'll start with you, RNG. I know last time I talked to you on the last episode, I think you were given your 2 weeks notice moving to your next job.
I had just given it that week that I was talking to you, and oh Lord, what happened after that was absolutely great. So I give it, and it was pretty much like a 3 weeks notice. I worked from home when I gave it. I had 2 more weeks in the office because I was staying a third week to help out with something we had going on before I started at my new job. And the second week of my notice, I got sick one morning when we had the tropical storm come through. I woke up sick, so I couldn't message my manager and everything. I'm like, hey, I won't be able to make it in. I got up and I was like, I'm feeling better. I'll see if he'll let me work from home. And then it hit me again. I'm like, no, I'm not going in. And I put in some time. I put in time off to make up for the day I was missing. And my manager messaged me. He's like, well, you had Friday off. You have tomorrow off. And I think you're just lying. So we're going to terminate your employment as of yesterday. Okay. So
Jeez.
I'm like, fine with me. I'll take the vacation. And called my new boss and said, hey, if you want me to start next Monday, I'm available now. And they got me in the next Monday. And I've been working at my new job for over a month now. And it's perfectly fine. And I look back. So.
Now you've been playing a lot of games this month. I think you're almost done with Mass Effect 3, I think you said?
Yes. I've just got to the point where you had the little party before the point of no return, so
yeah.
And
anything else you've been doing this week or this month after since I talked to you last? Gaming or shows or anything like that?
The only other game I've been playing is college football besides Mass Effect 3, and then just catching up on animes.
Hell yeah.
I'm watching the time I was reincarnated as a slime right now. It's the anime I'm in right now. I finished Black Clover or caught up on it, so that's where I'm at.
Hell yeah. I've heard some awesome stuff about Black Clover.
Oh, it's so good.
I might try it out. I've heard it's a deep hole to go into.
Oh yeah, it's a deep hole, but it's so much fun when it gets started. It's so good. So,
what about you? Fudd? What have you been up to, man?
Ooh.
I know we did the raid race. That was so much fun.
We did the raid marathon for the folks over in the UK, where me and you were USA'd out of our mind, and that was incredible. A million clips from that. I'm so excited watching those circulate around.
I might have been a little drunk, okay, guys?
Dude,
I might have been a little drunk.
So good. It was so. I was bummed. Like my dad was visiting, and I don't like getting sloshed in front of him. Yeah. So I was like the whole time. I was like, man, I love my dad, but I wish he wasn't here. So
you were the straight man. I had to be the drunk guy.
I was like, usually I'm the absolute fucking mess who's on the floor crying halfway through. But oh, dude, that was so much fun.
Oh my god!
But besides that. Space Marines 2, which has been absolutely incredible. Loving that.
You liking it?
I'm loving it. And then Helldivers 2 had a big update where they buffed everything, so you feel like a god running around. So that's been popping off again in my Discord, and we've been having super amounts of fun with that. And then Mass Effect 3 for the game club for JSG. I'm way behind Runga, but I'm getting there. And then what do I got next week? I get to drive over and meet Mr. Admiral Nips for the first time. I'm very excited. In person. Yeah. It's going to be sweet. I'm renting a car and driving out there. So it's going to be, I've got my friends getting married next Thursday. So I'm swooping through South Dakota for his wedding Thursday, and then heading over there to meet them, and then plopping through Iowa on the way back to meet my good friend Cheesy, who you've raided with many a time.
Yeah.
We're going to meet him face to face for the first time too. So it's like a road trip of meeting everybody. It's super exciting.
Nice, man.
I'm pumped.
Get to see Admiral Nips.
I know.
It's at that Wisconsin connection, man. I guess you're not too far away, I guess.
No, it's like a 12-hour drive or something, which is nothing.
Nice.
Those of you who live in the middle of the country, you understand. 12 hours. Yeah, no, I'll do that for lunch.
Yeah. I've made that trek. I've made that trek across. When I moved my brother from Bar Harbor, Maine, we literally traveled all the way to Southern Cal. I mean, you can't cut more center of the United States to see everything. And a lot of cornfields and wind farms.
How long did that take?
It was a lot, man. I was tired of seeing corn for a while. And then you got to the west because all of a sudden there's no trees.
Anywhere.
There's nothing. You're looking out and you're like, if I break down, I am
That's it. Yeah, dude.
Messed
I'm
up.
screwed.
Oh my God. Well, it's, I got a couple movies I saw this last week. I did see Beetlejuice.
Me too.
And what'd you think of it, man?
Buddy,
What'd you think?
I adored it. I thought it was a great continuation. It was very tastefully done. It wasn't like an exact, my biggest worry is it would do like a copy paste of the story. You know what I mean?
It was.
And so it was, kind of, but, some extra things going on there. I thought, all the new characters were fun and why some characters weren't there was explained well, but it was a super fun ride, man. I thoroughly enjoyed it. We took the kids to see it. They adored it.
Nice.
So I really enjoyed it.
I like they did a lot more of the underworld scenes,
Yes.
with the check-in and stuff. I thought that was fun. But, hey, it was entertaining. Definitely the member berries were out. I was definitely getting nostalgic about it all. And I loved it, man. It was a very entertaining movie. I mean, you're not going there for story. You're going there for Michael Keaton. I mean, come on.
Oh, 100%. Well, and the other thing I really liked is, part of Michael Keaton coming back is he said he wanted to make sure the majority of the movie was practical effects. And it's been so long.
It was.
Unless it's like a rom-com, where they shoot stuff on site. Like, it's so rare to have a movie that's not all where people are acting in front of a tennis ball and a green screen. So it was really cool. You could feel it in how everyone was acting and in the movement of the cameras. You're like, oh, these are like legit sets and everything built up. It was super fun.
Thinking of the scene where he says, you guys want to spill your guts? Here, I'll start.
And
all the guts and
Willem
intestines come
Dafoe, like that he was having more fun than anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, I love Willem Dafoe to death. I really do. I love all his movies. I'm a big fan. Yeah. But I don't think he was really needed in that movie.
I think he was.
It was just kind of, you think he was?
I think he was.
All right. Okay.
He didn't add to the plot at all, but it was still just no, this is great. I love this.
I tell you, another movie I saw just last night with my wife was Speak No Evil with James McAvoy. It's a Blumhouse production. Blumhouse, it's hit or miss with Blumhouse movies. It was more of a mind, messing with your mind.
Yeah.
I was just talking to RNGGator tonight about it. I don't know if you remember that movie. What we were just talking about, RNGGator, that one movie?
Cape Fear.
Cape Fear. You remember Cape Fear long ago?
Yeah.
Was it De Niro?
It was De Niro. I looked it up.
It was De Niro. I remember when he chained the husband on the boat, and he just took advantage of his wife and his girls, his kids, and it was just so disturbing, man. Kind of that kind of element in this movie.
Okay.
I'm not going to spoil anything, but I got to give 4 stars to both those movies. They're very good to watch, very entertaining. I heard some news today that the major movie theater chains are going to spend billions of dollars to revamp all their theaters. Good. And make them more of a boutique. Remember a long time ago, I talked about how movie theaters need to quit worrying about the masses.
Yes.
They need to make movie watching a special event. They need the big sound systems. You need to have Dolby in every theater.
Oh, 100%.
You need to have rumble seats in every theater. You need to have the recliners in every theater. And then that way, it's an experience. When you bring your kids there, they're never going to get when their seat rumbled when a ship went over them in the movie, like in Star Wars or whatever.
I don't know if anyone else is, but our local theater had Coraline 3D had a run recently through the theaters. And I took my kids to see that, and that was their first ever 3D movie experience. And so trying to watch them, and they're doing the whole reaching up to the screen and giggling, and and stuff was happening. I was like, that's not something you forget. And my daughter was saying to me, she's like, I want to go see movies in the theater more, this next generation. She's like, I just love that experience. And I was like, oh, thank you. I am obsessed with going to the movie theater.
It's just like we went and saw last weekend. We went and saw God's Not Dead movie that was out, and my daughter's boyfriend went. He's never been to one with reclining seats. Oh,
yeah, that's so nice.
And he's like, "Oh my Lord, this is so nice." I'm like, "Yeah, they're heated too." He's like, "What?"
Yeah.
It's like, so if you get in a theater that's freezing to you, just cut that heat on. It'll warm you up. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing more theaters
what I said.
I think you said Prayer. I don't know, but no, I'm seeing a lot of theaters do a kid showing where you go with kids and they have an actual playground built into the theater, and I'm like, and that's exactly what you're talking about. Make it an experience. It doesn't need to be this.
That's what they're doing.
Stiff.
That's what they're planning on doing. I was happy to hear that because, I mean, the days of being wedged in theaters next to the person next to you that you don't even want to talk to or even admit they're there, those days are over, man. It's going to be all about the big chairs and lots of space.
Yes.
And especially when the pandemic rolled around, it was a no brainer. We just couldn't do it. So, let's see what else. I did play some Iron Banner with the community this week. Up and down games. I got a little salty. Princess can attest. I got a couple salty games. You run into, when you're in a full 6-stack, you're gonna team matchmake against other 6-stacks, and you'll cross these teams, and you look at the scoreboard and it's like 486 KD, 3.9 KD. You'll see all these KDs like 2 or higher, and you look at our team and it's like 1.2, 0.8, 0.5, and you're like, this game should have never happened. If they say in the matchmaking, if you go scroll over Iron Banner, it says tries to eliminate outliers, right?
Yeah.
Outlying. It's supposed to base everything on a group of skill within a skill level. Anyway, I'm not going to go down that road, but there were a couple games where I was like, dude, no, this game should never happen.
Whatever your feelings are, like there's less people obviously in the thing. So it's like trying to match. I can't even imagine what it's trying to do to match 6 stacks against anybody,
That's true.
Yeah.
You're right. I mean, when you rent a 6-stack, it's definitely, I tell you what, I played on PC, the PC lobbies, and I had more fun on PC. I can't believe I'm saying this. I had more fun in PC
crazy.
lobbies. And then I switched over and played with Moonshine, and I think it was Deadpool and Merc, was it? Was it Deadpool? And no, it might have been Monty Money. I think he was playing with us, and Monty Money had enough. He was like, I'm out, man. I'm going to bed. And it was sweaty on console anyway. But anyway, I had a good time though. I play Iron Banner because I love play Iron Banner. Other than that, I think that's been it for me this week. I still need to run week 3 of the story. I haven't completed that yet, so I'll get to it eventually.
Oh, yeah,
we're not in a big hurry. I've been working on my Legend title, been going around trying to get my Engram drops in on the Cosmodrome, and I heard a lot of people are having a problem with that, so it is what it is, I guess. But all right. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you catching up. Now it's time to get to our first topic, and we'll do that right after I take my mandatory bathroom break.
There it is.
Right back.
After this ad right here. Folks, do you shit your pants constantly? Are you an adult? Adult Diapers R Us is the thing for you.
I'm going to leave that.
Hey, thanks for listening to Guardian Downcast. There are several ways you can contact us. First, you can find us on X at Guardian Downcast. Or you can find us on our Instagram at Guardian Downcast and see what pics and reels Todd the Gator and his podcast guests want to share with you guys. We have a brand new website too. Just visit guardiandowncast.com, where you can find all of our contact info, leave us a voicemail, give our show a rating or review, search for any past episodes, or even give back to our community. Also, don't forget to sign up for future updates to the show, where we'll also have random drawings throughout the year, and you may win a gift card or even some GDC merch. And finally, you can send us an email at guardiandowncast@gmail.com. Our community thrives on interaction, so get involved and check us out. And later, Guardian.
All right, for our first topic of the week, for our roundtable episode, it's going to be me. I'm going to start us out tonight, and I know I made a pledge after the final Shape campaign was done, and we moved more into the episodic content that I was going to begin to play other games. When I say I just play Destiny in all my previous episodes these years, I really mean it. Even though it's taken me it's kind of taken as a meme to some degree, I really only had time to play in the Destiny verse. So as I have built up an enormous catalog of games I was hoping to play, quote, one day, now I've finally come to grips on how much I do have in my backlog. You guys ready for this? On Steam, I have Doom Eternal, Jedi Fallen Order, Elden Ring, Age of Empires 2, which, in all fairness, that's a throwback game I've always played. XCOM, Enemy Unknown, Fallout New Vegas, The Witcher Wild Hunt, and City Skylines. And that's not even a complete list. On my PS5, I have Fortnite because of ElmmerFudd. Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2. I've bought that game.
Let's go,
Black Myth Wukong I have. No Man's Sky I talked about in the past episode. That's all I can fit on my hard drive. So the games that are on my stored library that I'll have to re-download, Apex Legends, Bloodborne, Warzone, Days Gone, Death Stranding, Demon Souls, Dirt 5, Far Cry 5, Final Fantasy X, Ghosts of Tsushima, the latest God of War, Godfall, Hell Let Loose, Elder Scrolls Online, Stray. That was a free game. Warframe, the latest Horizon Zero Dawn, Remnant 2, which I saw a lot of good, cool stuff about. Baldur's Gate 3, haven't touched. And I did get Diablo 4 soccer. I did get Diablo 4. Haven't played it. And I got this really cool roguelike called Eternal.
Yeah.
I have 1 hour of gameplay on that one, by the way. See what I mean? So, it's funny. I read a study about the last decade of gaming, and an interesting statistic came up that kind of blew my mind. According to the study, the population of gamers and hours played per month have been about the same from a decade ago. But the thing that surprised me is that they also found that these gamers played fewer games overall. With all the outstanding near photorealistic games out there, how can this be? With so much content to choose from, I would think there would be 1, more players, and 2, more variation of games being played. But what I found from this study is that we all tend to stick to our core games that we feel comfortable with and just push all the others to that later category, right? I mean, I got to think about this. I really wonder how game developers are trying to get our very short attention span to focus on that new game that they have coming out, that's also a live service with game passes and unlocks and currencies, new story content, seasonal and special events. I mean, I really feel for developers today trying to break into our core gaming environments and our routines. As more and more new players and games come out these days, I realize one thing. I'm never going to finish this backlog. Ever. If you do the math, I just don't have enough free time to play all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, I truly want to play these games, but what I think holds me back, if I really think about it, is that
grinding 2 other accounts. Oh, sorry.
Well, that too, but it's that I really get comfortable mastering 1 or 2 games. The controls, the timing, the knowledge of the ecosystem, the economies, not to mention the lore and story these games present to us. I don't know, but as I think about it more, I really start getting overwhelmed. So I had a question for you two, since you both seem to balance playing several games at once all the time. What is it, guys? What do you do, or what is your thought process going into more than just a couple games? Whoever wants to talk, it's up to you guys.
Well, the cool thing with the majority of the list of games you put out is a lot of them are like a single player campaign experience. So like, at least for those,
that is true.
It's an exact allotted amount of time to sit down and just get through that, which is great.
Right.
But there are plenty of games on there, Warframe. There was a couple more on that. Elder Scrolls Online, you were saying. There's a couple more games that, like Destiny, you have to have time to really grind to get to that end game content and everything. And that's where it gets tough, balancing all the game time. I do play a ton of games, but I usually have one that you're hyper focused and grinding in, and then the other ones I play are kind of ones you can kind of pop in and out of whenever, like Fortnite, where you're like, I'll play a couple rounds tonight with a couple people, or Helldivers, where you can jump in and do an operation here and there. But it's like you were saying, man, it's tough to have as many games as we have coming out that you can kind of lightly focus on, but people are trying to get you to hard focus on just their own individual game.
Yeah. What do you think?
I pretty much with FUD, like right now I'm hyper focused on Mass Effect 3 because I've got a reason to finish it, get done with it. So, but most single player games, I'm going to play them, get to a point where I feel safe. Like, there's a couple single player games I've played while Destiny's going on the story. I'll pick one day out of the week. Okay, Tuesday is reset. I'm going to go do the story stuff. When I'm done with it, jump back to my single player game. Do whatever I got to do in Destiny and be done. If it takes 1-2 days, and then jump back on the single player game. I used to be like Destiny only. You can ask FUD because he's asked me plenty of times to play stuff, and I'd be like, "Nah, I'm doing this in Destiny. I'm doing this and that." And finally, I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna branch out and try to play something else." And as soon as I did, it was like, "Yep, Destiny's not my main game no more. It is, but it's not the one I'm gonna do every night. There's no reason to." So,
Well, something else you were mentioning, Todd, sorry to cut you off.
No, please.
You know, how you're mentioning how you feel, you know, safe and secure, and, you know, you're used to how one game, obviously I only play Destiny, right? Yeah, you're comfortable, you know, and that's the other tough part for these game developers is like, how do you make your game different, but at the same time, it has to be same enough that people feel comfortable coming into that. Learning a new game, especially like me jumping around, I enjoy learning a new game.
Yeah.
But that's a skill set from being used to jumping into new games. If you've been in the same thing forever, whether it's Destiny or World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, and, you know, any of these, if Fallout was 76, whatever, you
Fallout
know.
New Vegas. I've never played that one. I played the one before, Fallout 4, I think. Yeah. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. But, you know, and that's another real tough part is that, like, if you're very used to where you're comfortable is making that jump to going, all right, I know I'm gonna have to learn something new. And that feels weird. Like, I mean, that's a big struggle I've had with a lot of people with Space Marines 2, which we were discussing, you know. I've had a lot of friends get into that, and it's just so different because it's kind of a, you know, you're in these big armor suits, so it's kind of a clunkier thing. It feels more like an Xbox 360 game in the best way, right? But I know a lot of people are struggling to get used to those kind of mechanics, and so they've kind of just backed away from the game. You know, I totally get it.
You know, and I'll think about it like this. I'll be working all day. I mean, I'm slammed right now. I get home. Yeah. I got basically from 10 o'clock to 1 a.m. to play. And then I watch a show and then I go to bed. That's my routine. And either I'll jump on like last night, I jumped on and played, or Wednesday, I actually jumped on and played Iron Banner till 1 a.m. Had a good time, played with the community, had a lot of fun. And, you know, I'm doing stuff I love to do and that I've not excelled at, but I've gotten comfortable and to the point where I like competing in PvP and Crucible and Destiny. And let's face it, man, it is such a feel good shooter playing in the Crucible. I did jump in and play the Black Ops 6, was it the beta, the weekend beta, the open beta over the weekend. And
how'd you like that?
It all came back to me. I pretty much, I love the Omni movement, the diving and shooting and the backwards diving and stuff. I love that stuff. As in Battlefield, that's all I do is dive down to the ground. Man, I miss Battlefield. I really miss Battlefield. And then, you know, I've heard that there are some inklings now of Zampella talking about he's now in charge of the next Battlefield series, and they're going back to Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 days. More of a modern shooter.
For that.
My ears are perked up, but I've been fooled before, and I'm not going to pre-order that game, and I'm just going to have to wait and see. I'll wait till Skill Up plays it and see what he thinks of it. There you go. I'll let him do the big giant reviews that he likes to do on these games. I've always loved that about him. He does really good game reviews. Very cinematic when he does them. But, you know, I get home and I'm tired. I spend time with the missus. I eat dinner. I take the dogs for a walk. I come in here and settle down for the night. And I'm thinking, okay, do I try to start playing Space Marines and try to learn how to play this game? Or do I run around, Skywatch and try to get more stuff toward my Legend title? It's usually a no-brainer because I'm so comfortable. Bungie has gotten me into that routine where I'm very comfortable. Just, they call it chores or whatever you want to call it. I feel like I'm doing something and accomplishing something.
But my question I have for you, is it you feel comfortable or do you have a fear of missing out on something?
I don't know, man. I think the FOMO in Destiny is it's still there, but I don't think that the FOMO is as bad as it used to be, like Witch Queen years.
I'll agree to that. Yeah.
Right. I agree with that, but I'm just hearing you talk and I feel like to me, I hear it a little bit that you have a FOMO there. Like you're afraid if you go play Space Marine.
Yeah. I'm going to miss out on
you're going to miss interacting with the community and something's going to happen and you're going to miss that.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Remember, you can sit in a group in Discord while you're playing the game and listen to other people. I do it all the time.
I need to do that more often. That's for sure. But it's just that's the first topic because we kind of talked about it in a couple shows ago, and True Vanguard has this problem right now. He's finally gotten into Space Marines and he's producing good content for it. But I followed True Vanguard ever since Battlefield days. I love watching his stuff in Battlefield. The latest gun, what was working and what wasn't, and that'll tie to your topic next, Fudd. But I really, I really miss that content, and that he was labeled that Destiny PvP guy. You know, that's what he does. That's the content he makes, and I've got to give him kudos. He finally says, you know what, I'm going to try another game, and so help me God, let's go. Let's see if I can create content for it. But I'm not there yet, man. I'm not there yet. I still love the Destiny game. I still love playing it. Yeah. And I don't know. It's just, that just crossed my mind as a good topic to talk.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, you know, as much as I'll make fun of you for only playing Destiny,
I know.
like it's just fun jabs, you know.
It is.
At the end of the day, life sucks. You know, whatever makes you feel good and comfortable at the end of the day, do that. But it's interesting. There has been this switch, because I know you were kind of alluding to, you know, how many live service games have existed out there and how they're all trying to grab you and stuff. And like, there was a good run of years there where the big thing pushing in these live service games was FOMO, that if you weren't here, you were missing out on X, Y, Z, you know. And it's been interesting, especially this year, seeing a lot of live service games launch and then fail, because a lot of the gaming community is like, that's not what we're after anymore.
Yeah.
So I think the next couple of years is going to be really interesting to watch, especially for you, as you've kind of reached a point where you're like, I'm willing to maybe look into trying some other games where it's not going to be a bunch of, you have to do X, Y, Z. Like, it'll be easier for you to be like, all right, tonight I'm just going to sit down and do a couple missions in Wukong, you know, or, you know, work my way through this or that. Like, I think you've reached a point where it's a very positive point in gaming for you to then step out, because the last 4 years of Destiny were really good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you try to step out, I mean, I got stuck in a ton of these games that was just like, oh my God, if I'm not, people in my Discord are ahead of me, but I want to play this other game, but I have to do this.
Exactly.
So it's like, you're not enjoying yourself when you're grinding these other things, because you want to be doing other things.
Yeah.
And then you're grinding and you're still behind. So it's like, it's a lose-lose.
Maybe you're right, Gator. Maybe it is FOMO a little bit. Maybe I still have FOMO playing Destiny. You know what? That's a good point. This is the way I thought I would fix it. I would just pick one night a week that I was going to start one game. And you know what? If I play it for 1 hour and then say I'm not having fun, I'll go play more Destiny for the remainder of my night. But I need to do that, man. It's such a hard habit to break, because you get so comfortable with the ecosystem and logging in to play Destiny 2 every day. And I think this is probably the fact that the Destiny morale is a little low right now. It's a double-edged sword for me. I actually think it's good that people take a break from Destiny. I mean, it's a real low time right now, and they're trying to, you know, let us know what's coming up around the corner, because I mean, if they didn't do that last week, people would wonder, why am I still in Destiny playing this game if there's not going to be a Destiny game down the road? And the fact that they verified that they're definitely going headstrong into continued content stuff gives me hope. But yeah, that's where I was at. I know of all the people I can talk to about this, it's you two, because you guys have been able to master that, where you've been able to branch off and play. Because I see you guys in Discord. RNGGator is playing Mass Effect 3. I'm like, that's Andromeda, right?
No. Sadly, it's
Andromeda.
Not.
It's still Andromeda is its own game.
Andromeda. I tried Andromeda too, and didn't do it for me.
Don't start.
I'm sorry. There's no Mass Effect 2. I'm sorry.
Abort. Don't do it.
Don't go down that road.
Don't do it.
Bangladesh.
I will switch my entire segment.
I take it back.
Yeah, don't you get started on that.
Oh my God, dude! I felt my blood pressure rising.
I'm gonna need a beer tonight. I'm gonna need a beer. I can tell you that right now. I'm gonna need a beer.
As soon as you said Andromeda, I'm like, don't go there. Don't
do it.
The face.
But no, again.
Okay, sorry.
No.
Sorry.
To reiterate, you know, like, if you spend like a night playing something, and again, with most of your lists being single player things,
that's
you
true.
can still have your comfortable time in Destiny.
Yeah.
And then if all you do is play other games that are single player, like the thing that'll draw you back is the story. So you can go into that to experience this awesome story. You can learn some new mechanics and stuff, but you still have your comfortable live service Destiny, where you're grinding for stuff and
it's not going anywhere,
kind of thing.
It's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
You know, my son, you know, the reason I play Doom Eternal, my son forced me to download it on Steam. And he says, I will play it with you. You need to play something else, Dad. And I actually played it. It was fun. The blood splatting everywhere and jumping down, and I caught on pretty quick. I mean, the controls were fairly similar, and I had a good time. But I'm sorry, man. It's still not Destiny. It's still not Destiny. Destiny has spoiled the hell out of me. Destiny has ruined me for playing other games, because I'll start playing the game and I'm like, yeah, I've done this before, you know.
Why aren't I floating across here? Yeah.
You're like, it's fun, but I don't really care what this guy's saying in Doom Eternal. I could care less what this guy's saying. And then you go back to Destiny, it's like, Destiny's back. Okay, what are we gonna do? Anyway, that was my topic.
First thing, get it out while you're playing another game. Get Destiny out of your mind. Quit comparing.
I know.
Don't sit there and go, don't look at, play the jaded girlfriend.
I know.
Don't look at your true love behind you going,
I know.
why aren't you coming in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Give me 5 minutes, you know.
I know, man.
Turn your location off, you know.
Turn your phone off.
Play that other game.
Close Discord. Yeah. Don't want to see what else is doing.
You know, the biggest thing is if you just go into another game with the mindset of, I'm just here to have fun in a game, you know. Yeah. And that changes everything. Because you can have your, like we've been saying, your grinding raids and PvP and going for all the things. Like, you have that in Destiny. You know, there's a lot of other games out there. It's just fun to sit down and be like, yeah, that was a game. Like, I just had fun in a video game. And that's awesome.
You know, there's one.
And those are good to have intermixed with whatever you're grinding out.
There's another fear I have. It's not FOMO. You know what that fear is? That I'm going to play these other games and I'm going to forget about Destiny 2.
It's not going to happen to you.
I don't think it'll happen to either. But I still, thought's in the back of my head. I'm like, what if I really get into Black Myth Wukong and I don't want to play anything else but Black Myth Wukong?
Well, and that's the thing.
But that's the thing,
Black
though.
Myth Wukong's going to end.
It ends, yeah. I think it's like 30 hours or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And then it's over. There's
I love
nothing
boss
else.
fights. Dude, I grew up on boss fights in the arcades. I love boss fights. I get my ass kicked. Guess what? Start again and let's go. Let's try it again. This time, don't dash that time when he heads toward you. You need to go the other way and parry. Yeah, I know. It's.
But it'll always be there for you.
I know. I just need to remember that.
It's not going nowhere.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, guys. I feel better.
Yeah, man. Of course.
I feel better.
You look better.
Just send me the bill for the therapy. I'll Venmo you the money, man.
Baby, this one was on the house.
I feel like this was an intervention more than it was a roundtable discussion.
Right? I'm sure you're all wondering why randomly we were all brought cupcakes and all your favorite people, but
yeah. KJ in chat just said they just released an 8 terabyte SSD for the PS5. How much is that? How much is that 8 terabyte SSD there, KJ? I wanted to get a 2 terabyte one. It was a middle of the road, like a Samsung. $279. That's why I'm probably going to get a PS5 Pro, because it already comes with a 2 terabyte.
Dude, did you see the did you see
the collector edition?
The PlayStation 30 year, the 30-year PlayStation one.
Dude, no,
it's got the colors of everything.
Dude,
of the first PlayStation.
You know the bots are going to buy all those, and they're going to be on eBay for like $1,000 each, or maybe even $1,500 each. There's no way.
Well, they're going to be $1,000 out the gate anyway. But
Jesus. No,
well, I mean, you do know.
I have my point where it's just not worth it. As badass as that looks, the gray ones.
I heard you talking about hard drives and everything in the last episode.
Yeah,
and you can replace your hard drive inside the PlayStation.
Oh, it's one Phillips screwdriver. That's it.
Yeah, that's what
it's very easy.
He just went and bought another NVM.
But here's the thing. I've got a day one Gator. I've got a day one PS5. A friend of my daughter's got it. Don't ask me how. He probably was using bots. I don't know. Back when it was really tough to get, back in 2021, I think. So this is a 3-year-old console already. So I got to think about it. Do I invest more money, $300 into an SSD that'll double my size, or do I just spend the $800 or $700? Forget the stand and all the CD drive. I was talking to my guest last week, and I said, you know what? I already have a Blu-ray drive. It's in my PS4 in the other room. I got the Blu-ray drive. I don't need one here. And here's the thing. I bought Western Digital. Okay. $400.
$999.
No, KJ.
For that
$1,000? No.
That's insane.
I'm sorry.
That's ridiculous.
I'm sorry. I mean, that's
Buy a
great.
pre-built
8
PC
terabytes,
for that
awesome.
price.
I could put every game in my library on it for 8 terabytes.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
But you wanted me to play No Build Fortnite one night, so I downloaded Fortnite. It was 70 gigs of RAM. It was 70 gigs of memory. I'm like, wasn't this an online game? Why is this so big?
Anyway.
Anyway.
All the extra, yeah. Well, and that's another interesting topic for another time.
Yeah,
how
it is,
everyone
it
makes
is.
their game huge, so you only have room for their game.
Well,
but,
actually, my last topic before we go tonight, we'll kind of brush on that. I'll get to it later. But well, hey, speaking of which, thanks guys. Thanks for indulging me on that. Thanks chat for listening to my my therapy session tonight. I appreciate it. Let's get on to our next topic, and we'll do that right after this.
Yo everyone, this is Sweaty Spooks from the Blueberry Lounge, and you've been listening to
Guardian Downcast.
Be sure to tune in every week to see how the guests will score the speedrun, and better yet, join the Discord. You just may receive an invite to be on the show yourself. Later, Guardian.
All right, ElmmerFuddGames. You're up next, buddy. What topic are you bringing to the table tonight, brother?
No, so something I kind of wanted to bring up. It's something that has been brought up on my show, and I'd love to discuss it at some point, which is right now. And not just the streamer culture, but what has happened over on the TikToks and the Instagram Reels and the YouTube Shorts and everything is the meta culture, right? Where there was a time, thinking like original COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, right? Where air quotes meta was the noob tube, as everyone recalls.
Yeah, that's right.
And if you used it, you got made fun of.
Yes.
Horribly.
Roasted.
It was the quickest way to get kills, most damage, right? But if you used it, everyone ripped you to shreds, right?
Remember those days.
And we've got to a point, I definitely noticed it big time, 2020 when the old virus struck, that the things took a turn in the gaming world where it became, I'm not going to mess with guns and figure out what feels right or what class build feels perfect. To me, it's all about an update happens. You just go into YouTube or TikTok, you type in, all right, what's the fucking best thing to use? And you go, all right, cool. We're set with that. And I'm going to jump in. There's no testing yourself. There's people that's their entire livelihood is just making meta videos. Like there's no more of, picking and choosing and playing and having your own choices. It happens in WoW where there's skill trees that you're supposed to make yourself feel good. Everyone just goes to Icy Veins and whatever it tells you to choose, you choose. You go into Destiny, whatever the God roll is, you just hunt for that. And if there's something else you like that feels good, people go, well, that's not the God roll, and you move on. Warzone, same thing. There's the one gun with the one thing that everyone's supposed to use. And it gets exhausting to kill someone, run up, and they're using the same gun you are with the exact same loadout of everything. And there's no spice to life to anything. And it's like, why? Why is this the place where we're at now?
Yeah, I hear you, man. I remember those days too. Do you want to go first, Runga?
No, go ahead.
I remember playing Call of Duties in the early 2000s, and I remember we used whatever the hell we wanted to use. For me, it was the M16, man. I love pulse rifles. Even back then, I loved pulse rifles. And there was really no meta talk other than noob tubes. And like you said, if people saw you using a noob tube, you would just lose all respect. People would lose all respect for you because you were crutching basically on the noob tube where you were just launching it. You're reloading and just relaunching because you had unlimited ones, and you just relaunch it into foxholes and stuff. And it's kind of a cheesy way to play the game. And I remember that, man. Everyone was razzing the noob tubers. I had my favorite rifles, and I just got better at using the rifle that I really enjoyed. I mean, remember in Call of Duty, it was all about unlocking all the attachments and then unlocking all the perks like, silent steps. And, as you ranked up in your multiplayer level, once you got to level 40, you were able to unlock, this great perk that really works good in the game, but it had nothing to do with the gun. It had more to do with the style of play or some benefit you got on the map. So that's what made us grind, man. And of course, as we played more with that gun, we unlocked more attachments for it. And in fact, that's the way Call of Duty, I noticed even in Black Ops 6, that's the way it still works today. I haven't played Call of Duty in a long time, but you still go to the gunsmith and you unlock and start adding sights and grips and muzzle muzzle and stocks. And man, that brings me back to my Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4 days. My goal when I played the Battlefield games was I would work on one gun at a time, unlock everything available for it, and then move on to the next gun. I'd work on assault rifles first, then I'd work on sniper rifles, then I'd work on, I don't know, whatever rifles were left. I mean, scout rifles. God, there's some good scout rifles in Battlefield 2. And I really never went to YouTube. I never really cared what the meta was. I just used what I thought was working good, what felt good in the game. And I totally get what you're talking about, man. There's one thing I hate seeing in the Crucible these days when I'm playing in comp or when I'm playing even Iron Banner last night is the sliding shotgunners, man. Everyone wants to slide and shotgun. It's just what everybody does. I buck that. I will never use a shotgun in Crucible. You'll never see one on. I've used a chaperone a couple times. Shout out to Briggs.
Yeah.
But I use a sidearm because I'd rather jump backwards and shoot them before they could get close enough to me. And I've really honed that. And I've got several sidearms that I love using, but it's not the meta. It's not the meta. The meta, if you're really playing to win, you should have a shotgun. And I go against it, and it's probably to my detriment. But, I had a younger friend and a clanmate long ago when Warcry and I had a gaming clan. And he just started using Twitch. It was right when it was brand new, back in the early 2000s. And he was streaming one night while we were on the yacht. Remember the yacht map on Call of Duty? The one where you jumped the lower levels of the yacht and upper levels.
That was a great map.
I love that map. Still remember those maps. They were so well designed. But because he was streaming, his attitude, instead of having fun, hey, 30, what's up? Instead of having fun, playing the game, his attitude was totally sweat. His attitude changed to, I have to be good because now people are watching me play. So now I got to switch. And he didn't kid around with us anymore. He ended up going to a pro team, by the way. Scuba Steve was his name. I don't know if he'll ever hear this podcast.
Wow.
He was a younger guy. In fact, I was helping him with some business books when he was going to college, some books I'd read and stuff. And, God, I remember those days, man, where as soon as that Twitch stream was live, and back then it was glitchy and, you couldn't hear half the audio
absolutely.
half the time. It was brand new. But because he turned Twitch on, all of a sudden the fun was sucked out of the room. It was all about, we got to win. We got to win now. And then he would start getting down people's throats because we weren't playing. We weren't playing as a team. We weren't doing this or that. It's just like the pressure it was a pressure cooker, man. Everything just started building up. And, now, it just seems like this meta gaming scenario, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was brought on from streaming because streamers have to win. They have to be good or no one's going to tune into them. No one gives a crap about an average player. They want to watch the God Killer. They want to go out there and watch the guy who's going to get a 4-kill streak in Destiny 2 in the Crucible and keep moving on. And, at the scoreboard, I mean, I can feel the pressure when True Vanguard plays live. He gets below a 1-5 and he feels like ashamed. I'm like, dude, that was a really tough game. You knew 30 Still Gaming's in the chat. He says he knew a Scuba Steve too. He wonders if it's the same one. There's a lot of Scuba Steves. Thanks to the movie. But now, the developers can easily update their sandbox, because we're online and we're all part of live service now. It's all about what's hot and putting down what's not. Like I tried the syncopation, a couple nights ago in Iron Banner. And I tried to use it because it's an adaptive pulse rifle. It's a 390. It fires slower, but it's super accurate. I wasn't getting the kills. People were knocking me out with freaking Kvostovs. So I switched to my blast furnace, the aggressive burst, and my peace of mind, which is my rapid fire. And it was the game just picked right back up again. So it would be nice if the gaming developers out there stopped worrying about making one game or one gun in the game the favorite gun. You know what I'm saying? It'd be nice if granted, the sandbox team for Destiny has been really good. It has been probably the most balanced. You can use just about any variety of weapon out there, but there's still the ones that you have to use and the ones you just can't use right now. Sniping. I mean, my God, they made the sniping so bad. They made flinch so bad in sniping now. And the fact that you can't one hit kill most people anymore. I put my sniper rifle away. I had so many fun games sniping and getting those one-shot headshots, sniping. And I'm sure there's some rifles like the aggressive and heavy burst or heavy snipers that can still do it, but they're so large and unwieldy, it just isn't fun to play with. But it's just like the first thing I do when I jump into Call of Duty now. I'm like, what's working the best? What's working the best?
That's every time I come back, to Warzone, it's just a quick Google search. What's the meta this season? Okay. I guess that's just all I'm using. Well, it's like even in just Destiny 2's lifespan, not Destiny the whole, just Destiny 2's lifespan. I remember recording back when my podcast was about Destiny. We talked about slide shotgunning and how it was hilarious and you'd make fun of people who did it.
Yeah.
And now within the same lifetime of the game, it's the thing you have to do. And if you're not doing it, you're a crutch for your team, right? Or you're actually broken for your team, right? In Warzone, I distinctly remember the moment Warzone launched, right? Like right when everyone went to shutdown. If you're going to launch a game, that's when you launch it, right? But I think it was like the second patch cycle, the Growl, which had awesome iron sights. That became like the meta.
Right.
But that was still a time where if you ran into someone using it, you're like, this fucking guy. Like he's just using the Growl, right? And that was not that long ago. That was 3 years ago, right?
I remember hearing that word in YouTube.
Yeah. You'd find it and you go, God, another guy using this fucking gun, right? And you made fun of people for using the Growl. 2 patches later, everyone was on board with whatever the meta is. That's all we're using. That's all we're playing. That's it. And no one made fun of each other for it anymore. Like it's in just the span of 3 years, it went from like, oh God, a meta guy to just, this is all we do. It's just fascinating to me how that's everyone just wants to be, everyone's looking up in COD, like what are the glitchy movements you can do? What are, what's the meta for guns? What's the glitchy thing you can do? How can you get through this side of the map? Like everyone plays every match like it's a professional game now.
Yeah.
And like you said, that's come from streamers, TikTok. I think TikTok is probably one of the worst.
Really?
It started on streaming like Twitch and Facebook and YouTube and stuff. But I think the immediacy of like just having a cool clip or something on TikTok really progressed that to such a level where there's people that don't even watch streamers. They just get their content through a search on TikTok now. And like, what's the meta? Boom. Here's a 5-second video. Here's what you need. Here's the attachments. Or like, here's what you need for your setup for your Titan. Here's what you need for your Paladin and WoW. Here's like, and it's just boom, immediate and you're gone. And that's all people make is just meta videos. And it's just like they're making money and their livelihood is just off that. And 3 years ago, that wasn't a thing.
Right.
It's fascinating to me.
I miss those days of just exploring what weapons felt good. I didn't care about how, they had to perform, but if you got good using it, the AN-92 in Battlefield 4, it was just a pat-up, 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 pat-up. It's a Russian rifle that shoots a bullet behind each other. It's a 2-shot. That's why I love the heavy burst now that they've come out with in Destiny. But I remember it was just so many good headshots with that thing. And it wasn't the most powerful rifle in the game. It just is one I really got really good at using. Sorry, Gator. Go ahead, man.
No, you're good. You're talking about the meta. One game that has come out recently, Helldivers 2, you can use whatever you want to in that game. I know Fudd will agree with me on this because they talked about it on one of his podcasts. And now with what they've done, I remember when Helldivers first came out, I would start getting TikToks of, hey, this is what you need to run. And then I'd be running with Fudd and I'd be like, and he's like, no, you can use whatever you want to. I'm taking this. You take, you can say, since you're taking this, let me take this. And it all works interconnect together. You don't have to, everybody doesn't have to run the backpack. Everybody doesn't have to run the laser bot. Everybody doesn't have to run this mortar strike,
Right.
I can run what I want to and they can run what they want to and we'll see how it works together. If it don't, well, next game we'll switch it up and try something else,
Yeah.
You can, that game, that's one thing I do like about Helldivers 2 is I can jump in, even though I haven't played in a while, I could probably jump in, use some of the older stuff since I don't have the new stuff, and still be able to kill stuff, compete, and be helpful, and not just be like, oh, go sit in this corner, we'll get you,
Yeah, and that's what makes especially that game such a special thing, especially in line with what my thing has been, is like when the game launched, there was an air quotes meta, right? And that got patched out immediately.
Exactly.
And people who only made meta content couldn't make content for that game. And so obviously the numbers for that game plummeted. I mean, a lot of other things happened, but there was no just clickbaity meta videos. So that didn't work out. It's just like people killing each other and laughing is all the content for that game, which is what we used to just watch for any game, which has been very refreshing. But yeah, it's interesting to have a game come out where people can't just make meta content and then they all leave. They're all gone to whatever the next thing they can make their clickbaity thing about.
Yeah,
it's like just fire up Twitch and go look at your list and look at what everybody's playing.
It's that easy. Everyone uses the same stuff.
Yeah. And all these people who are like, I wonder if I want this game. Well, go on Twitch. Everybody's playing it. I'm going to run out and buy it. And then they're like, well, this game sucks, even though this guy liked it, It's like, well, you kind of fell for it. Instead of doing the research, you just ran out and buy it,
Yeah, and the Sandbox team, they are so powerful now. Whatever Sandbox teams for PvP games out there, they have so much power in directing what weapons what people are going to use the next season or whatever the next reset is,
Yeah.
But, in fact, Zombie Pops in the chat said it's the pressure that they pay their bills streaming, that they have no choice. They can't try other weapons. They have to go with whatever the meta is because they have to compete at the highest levels. I don't know, man. I miss the days of Battlefield where I just went through the list of guns and just used everything. And then and after I got all of them done, and by the way, that was an extensive list. That was a lot of
Very
hours.
much so.
A lot of hours. I mean, you had to unlock the FLIR scope on these guns. You had to get like 1,000 headshots with it. It took a while. And that's per weapon, guys. That's how deep the progression was for Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3. And I really miss those days. But
I do too.
The one thing that Battlefield will never have on Destiny is that gun feel. It's so much crisper and so much better. And I get it. It's an arena shooter versus a full open world shooter.
Go.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
I'm gonna trigger everybody tonight. That's my goal. I want everyone to go off. But
I'm sorry. Did he say something? I fell asleep. I'm sorry.
He started talking about Destiny again. Yeah.
Sorry, I only play Destiny.
No, I'm just teasing.
My favorite Battlefield game is Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3.
Fucking
Bad Company 2.
I missed it. I missed the boat on that.
I swear, if they would remake that in today's game, I loved Bad Company 2.
Incredible.
I had so much fun with friends on the 360 playing that.
And that was one of those you could play. You could use any gun, and it'd work.
Gun.
They added World War II guns, and you're like, I'm still effective using this. But is there a way? Is there a world? Right? Because this is still a new thing. 3 years ago, this switch happened in the gaming sphere where, and I'm someone who streams. It's not my livelihood at all. I just do it for fun, right? But I'm aware that the high-end streaming culture has really done some weird shit to the gaming community, right? As a whole. Is there a way, is there a place where we get away from that, where we can just let's just play and figure things out and have fun and people can use things? Or is this just because this switch has happened where everyone wants to it's very accessible to get into. Everyone's just making clips for TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts. They're not even making full videos. It's just for the quick click, click on, click off. Is that just where we are forever now? Or is there a way to get back to where we just enjoy things and have fun?
But yeah, you have that, but now you also, the game makers see that, so they give these early copies to those streamers that have those high viewers because they know their communities that are diehard watchers are going to watch, and it's going to help sell that game or whatever change they make.
Streamers sell them. Streamers sell games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they know that. And I don't think it's going to change. I really don't. That's why I said, like, you can fire up Twitch now, and everybody was, when the Wukong game came out, my whole list was that. You know, when Space Marines came out, that's what my whole list was. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the thing, you know, is every once in a while a game will come out that's just fun, right? And you'll see everyone just playing that and having fun. And that is refreshing, right? But the rest of the time, you know, like we were saying, it's just meta this, rock and roll and that. But yeah, it is nice every once in a while. It's just fun. That does still happen, which is awesome.
I remember,
but it's just interesting.
I remember when I jumped into Battlefield 2042 when I had a podcast about it. Lord, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
How many episodes did you have? What, like 3?
I'm glad you ended it the week before I was going to be on it, you piece of shit.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sorry. I was lining up guests. I was so pumped. That Battlefield 2042 was back, you know. It was, and then I jumped in there and it's like, okay, this one gun, everyone just uses this one gun because it's broken. Basically, it's broken. It just kills everybody in 3 shots. So I was to the point where I couldn't do what I used to do in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4. I can't go just use anything and have a fighting chance in PvP. But like you said, man, streamers, they sell the games and the developers know this. And I'll even tell people who want to get better in PvP, go watch streamers because they're all going to play at the highest level. Yep. I learned so much from watching streamers play Crucible. Because I would learn how they would move around the maps. I would learn where their sight lines are. I would learn how long they would stay and aiming down the sights. You can learn so much from watching a high level player on Twitch or YouTube. And I learned so much from watching that. So, I mean, that's a good thing about it is if you want to learn how to get better at the game, watching streamers definitely does help. Oh, but the downside is the game becomes so one dimensional because everyone just uses slide shotguns. Slide shotguns to me, that's the noob tube for me. When I see people slide shotgun, when I try to blink over them and they just wait there and just go boop, I'm like, noob tube. Guy, obviously, you know, you got a big circle on the screen. All you got to do is just move it and line it up with a body and it's an instant kill. Okay. I'm not going to, no. I told myself I wasn't going to go down. I wasn't going to be Salty Gator tonight, but it's just
Salty Gator. That's what Roundtable is for, baby.
It's just so freaking easy to use a shotgun. I mean, it is. Try using a sidearm when you have to get the headshots when that guy's running at you with a Titan Slam. Just saying.
Especially you got to complete them sidearm bounties.
Yeah. In a raid, yeah.
Well, anything else you guys want to bring up? That was a good topic, man. You told me you were going to talk about that. That was a good topic.
I forgot I got some stuff off my chest. I feel better.
Okay. That means it's time for this week in Destiny.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to Jealous Gaming on Guardian Downcast.
All right. It's This Week in Destiny for September 19th, 2024. And as most of you know with this podcast, the only thing I'm really going to talk about here are the highlights of the TWAB. I'm not going to read everything word for word. It's mainly the things that I think are really important that as a player of Destiny 2, you need to know about this stuff. So, to start, a new Dev Insight is coming out next week. They say we told you we would have more Dev Insights in the coming weeks, and we really meant it. On Wednesday, September 25th, this Wednesday, we will have a new article delivered directly by the Destiny 2 developers and focused on answering some questions you all had about Codename Frontiers. Patience is a virtue, so for now, visit our Hub article and give our previous 3 articles a read. The Hub article is pictures of Codename Frontiers on Bungie.net in the Destiny 2 section. You can always refer to that for all the articles that they post. It's kind of a little area where they collect them. Upcoming rewards changes. And now let's talk about some of the changes coming with Episode Revenant, which is our next one coming in October 8th. We leave you in the incredibly capable hands of the Destiny 2 dev team. Morning all, Economy team here with some updates focused on Nightfalls and Lost Sector rewards. First, the drop chances of non-adept weapons have been increased in Advanced, Expert, and Master Nightfalls when earning Platinum and Gold tier completion. With this change, non-adept Nightfall weapons are now guaranteed to drop when completing a Platinum run in a Master Nightfall, and a 50% chance to drop if it's a Gold completion. In addition, adept weapon drops from Grandmaster Nightfalls have been slightly increased when getting Gold completions, although Platinum remains the best source of action for earning them, as a completion guarantees a drop. A few minor little tweaks on the Nightfall focusing here. Zavala's focus decoding has also received a minor update in regard to Nightfall weapons. The weekly featured Nightfall weapon and the adept version of said weapon have been moved to a new, quote, featured category with updated cost. The weekly featured Nightfall weapon will cost you 1 Vanguard Engram and 1 Nightfall Cipher. Your weekly featured adept Nightfall weapon will cost 1 Vanguard Engram, 50,000 Glimmer, 10 Nightfall Ciphers. Yikes. Lost Sector rewards. Now you guys know I love my Lost Sectors, but they made a few changes here that really perked my ears up. They said finally starting in Revenant, October 8th, the Whirlpool weapons will be farmable in Lost Sectors the very season they are added to the game. Awesome. Previously, players had to wait until the next season or episode to launch to attain them this way. Lost Sector weapon availability will continue to rotate daily, with the table below showing the rotation for Revenant. They talk about the first group, Group 1. There's going to be the Yarovit MG4, Truth Teller, Rosarago 4. Group 2 will be Dead Gramarge 4, Adverse Possession 9, Marcado 45. Group 3 will be the Mahas HC4, Controlling Vision, Crux Termination 4, and finally Group 4 will have the Suspectum 4FR, the Domino, I like that sniper rifle, Parabellum. Now, the one thing they did not talk about with each of these groups is there is also a redacted weapon for each of these groups that they don't tell us about. So we'll just have to see what drops. Maybe it's something new, maybe it's something they're recycling. We'll find out soon. Alright, I don't know if you're going to take this news good or bad, but they are increasing the power band in the next episode. With the final shape, we introduced a wonderful feature called Fire Team Power with the goal of making it so friends could always play together no matter what their power levels are. We've been very happy with the Fire Team Power and how it's removed the power barrier that was previously preventing players of different engagement levels from playing together. With this improvement in place, we're revisiting some of our previous decisions that sought to achieve the same goal, namely Power Band. Before the Lightfall expansion, increasing power caps by 10 each season provided new goals for endgame players to aspire to and added value to completing pinnacle activities such as raids and dungeons. Fire Team Power will still be there, so friends can always play together, even if some players choose not to pursue the new power caps. Starting on October 8th with Revenant, and again in the next episode, we'll once more be increasing power caps by 10 to return to that pursuit to endgame players. The resulting power band in Revenant will be the power floor, in other words, what everything defaults to, is 1900. It's the same from Final Shape. Your soft cap will be 1950. Your powerful cap will be 2000 now. And your hard cap or your pinnacle cap will be 2010. Great. I just got my first 2000 armor just the other day in Iron Banner. So I guess it's back to work, right? You know, I gotta admit, I really haven't fussed about my power armor these days. Just for the fact that if someone wants to bring me into a raid and they're higher power than me, or a dungeon or whatever, or a Grandmaster, it always brings me within, I think, 10 of their power. So this is kind of a non-factor for me. So most of the in-game stuff, you know, won't really affect me, but it will affect me in one area, and that's Trials of Osiris. Unfortunately, it is going to affect our Trials of Osiris players. And unfortunately, we're going to have to grind 10 more power levels because power level does matter in Trials of Osiris. But it doesn't matter anywhere else in the Crucible, but just Trials of Osiris. So if you're like me and you've been diving into Trials of Osiris a little more, trying to get better at playing that game, trying to get some of the adept weapons with the new card systems they have, then unfortunately, yeah, you're going to have to do some grinding. So, yeah, just letting you know about that. Titans Week in Destiny. Now, let me tell you, I hope this isn't just just including Titans for next episode, but Titans are going to be really, really a very versatile class going into Revenant on October 8th. I'll just read you the first quick paragraph here, and then I'll just break down quickly what the Titans are going to be getting. Howdy, folks. Combat gameplay team here with a preview of what to expect with the launch of Revenant. It's been a minute since our last article back in May, and since then, we've seen the launch of the prismatic subclasses, which seismically shifted the sandbox landscape. From multiple Warlock buddies to Diamond Lances, as far as the eye can see, we've been extremely pleased to watch players push Prismatic to its limits as they combine gameplay atoms in ways that weren't possible before the final shape. I love my buddies on my Warlock. I gotta admit, Prismatic has been a lot of fun to use. In fact, I haven't used anything else but Prismatic in Crucible and in PvE. They say now that the Prismatic subclasses have had time to settle, we're making some adjustments. We've collected a mixture of player feedback and game data about abilities across the sandbox, and we now have a slew of ability changes coming for both Prismatic and non-Prismatic subclasses alike. We'll cover most of this season's ability changes in this write-up, but you can read the full patch notes when Revenant launches. Today we're going to focus on Titan class identity reinforcement, super ability changes, general ability tuning. So let's get right into it. Unbreakable will. Titans are the bulwarks of their fire team. They live and die on the front line of battle, barking out orders while never backing down from an encounter. Titans wield defensive staples like barricade and stasis crystals with practiced ease. They specialize in doling out life-saving buffs like Void Overshield and Woven Mail to their grateful fire teams. And they throw a mean right hook to boot. But Titans deserve a class identity that's more than the sum of its fist. We've heard your cries for more depth to Titan gameplay and more viability and higher tier in-game content, and we agree with you. Titans have so much more to give than mere blunt force trauma. They're frontliners, damage mitigators, and battlefield commanders. Now, we don't want to take away from or replace what the Titan already has. Instead, we want to find non-destructive ways to add depth to the Titan's kit. These kinds of shifts take time, but we're starting down that road in Revenant. So starting in Revenant, we're testing a change to barricades and other shields that will give the Titan more of a traditional tank role. So that means Titan Barricade now taunts enemies in front of the barricade. This taunt only occurs while there is a player standing behind the barricade. So no throwing up a barricade and running over to another area. I'm thinking GMs here. You're going to have to be behind it. This is a substantial change for Titans and for Destiny. For the first time, Titan players can use their defensive abilities to draw enemy fire, thereby shielding their fire team from harm. This is really going to be nice in Nightfalls. I could see this working really well. The Titan's Unbreakable Shield and Sentinel Shield's guard also taunt enemies, allowing you to become a mobile aggro magnet. If this change plays well, we're hoping to add this functionality to more of the Titan's defensive abilities, such as Ward of Dawn in the future. While enemies will typically prioritize bringing down the barricade above all else, there are combat situations where combatants may have higher priorities than the barricade, such as the Vex Wyvern with a directive to march toward a conflux, or a Cabal Legionary desperately trying to bring down a Guardian in their super. The barricade taunt doesn't turn enemies into mindless zombies, and enemies who are on a mission may prioritize that mission over the barricade. But for the general rank-and-file enemies you see in activities from patrol to raids, this has been quite fun in our playtest. One important detail about this change is that combatants now shoot at the barricade itself instead of the guardians behind the barricade, making aiming at enemies from behind your barricade safer than before. This sounds very interesting. I definitely am going to test this out because I do also have a Titan. We'll be monitoring this change closely, and you can expect tweaks in the future as we see how these changes play out in the live game. To support the Titan's new aggro lifestyle, we've made some adjustments to Barricades and Unbreakable. Towering Barricade and Rally Barricade, all subclasses, they reduce the non-boss combatant damage dealt to the Barricade by 50%, increase splash damage reduction from combatants for players behind the Barricade from 20% to 60%. That's big. Barricades now grant moderate damage resistance versus combatants during cast animation, and on the Unbreakable shield, damage blocked by Unbreakable now generates grenade energy. That's pretty cool. Increased max duration, the shield can be held. Forward movement speed now slows down briefly when the shield is shot. Reduced Unbreakable's throw attack damage versus players by 20%. Increased damage bleed through from players by 15%. Fully charged Unbreakable attacks and now one-shot Barricades in PvP, except when the Barricade is under the effects of Heart of Emos Light. While we're here on Unbreakable and Titans, we should also mention Void Overshield. This is a staple of the Sentinel kit, and we think it could use a little help in PvE to better compete with other damage mitigation options. So, Void Overshield. Increase the Void Overshield PvE damage resistance from 50 to 70%. That's pretty big. This increases maximum effective hit points from 90 to 150. Next stop, Prismatic Titan. While Prismatic Titans will inherit all applicable changes to Barricade and Unbreakable and Sentinel Shield, we're also buffing several other Titan abilities featured in the Prismatic Titan subclass. These changes are global, meaning they are applicable to both the ability's standard subclass and Prismatic. So they go through a few of them here. For Consecration, Scorch and Slam Waves now shatter stasis crystals. Diamond Lance, Thrown or Slam Diamond Lances will now shatter stasis crystals. Slamming a Diamond Lance will grant you and nearby allies 2 stacks of Frost Armor. And they changed the weapon HUD to display how many seconds are remaining before the Diamond Lance disappears, like a Tangle. For Knockout, melee kills now cancel health and shield stun, in addition to healing, allowing you to immediately start regenerating. Note, this is a revert of a previous nerf that had too much of a negative impact on PvE. For Shiver Strike, now attaches a stasis explosive to the target on impact. This detonation slows players and freezes combatants. Now refunds 80% melee energy on whiff. Increased energy recharge rate by 12.5%. And immediately after landing a Shiver Strike attack, the attacker's melee ability is now suppressed for 0.5 seconds. While not specifically a Prismatic Titan only option, we know they felt the nerf the most when Facet of Command's cooldown was moved to 11 seconds. We agree that 11 seconds feels too long. Facet of Command, or Echo of Domineering, cooldown reduced from 11 seconds to 4 seconds. Alas, the Titan buff train approaches its final destination. Yes, there's more to Titans than brute force, but at the same time, one of the pillars of Titan class identity is physical strength, so they should punch harder than other classes, right? Well, we're increasing the Titan's unpowered melee to be more powerful than a Hunter or Warlock's unpowered melee. We're also increasing the likelihood that a Titan's unpowered melee will stun enemy combatants. So, on the Titan unpowered melee, increase damage against players by 5%, increase damage against PvE combatants by 20%, increased stun multiplier. Alright, now we know we're not forgetting the Warlocks and Hunters out there. So we want super abilities to feel the ultimate expression of a Guardian's power, and we're dedicating some time in this release and in future releases to make sure we're delivering on that. For this release, we primarily focused on making certain roaming supers feel better, particularly in terms of survivability. So, for the Warlock, Storm Trance, increased damage resistance from 53 to 58%. It doesn't seem like a much. We'll have to test that and see. Chaos Reach, increased damage resistance from 45 to 55%. Okay. Fix an issue where Chaos Reach would not jolt at high frame rates. Fix an issue where Chaos Reach would not go through Sentinel Shield's guard or a Titan's barricade. Alright, on the Nova Warp front, Increase PvE damage by 20%. That I like. Increase damage resistance from 51 to 58%, which, okay. Now any Nova Warp detonation applies volatile, regardless of charge duration. Okay, I'll have to play around with that. On the Hunter, Golden Gun, Marksman, and Deadshot. Increase damage against base, elite, and mini-boss combatants by 30%. On the Spectral Blades front, increase PvE damage by 20%. That's good. Increase damage resistance from 47 to 58%. And finally, the Titan, Glacial Quake. Howl of the Storm can be used while Glacial Quake is active. On the Twilight Arsenal, thrown axe projectiles now more consistently track towards targets to closer to the reticle. Increase Twilight Arsenal's axe relic weapon damage versus combatants by 23%. On the Thunder Crash, increased base detonation damage by 33%. Ooh, I'll be definitely playing with that. I love Thunder Crash. Fist of Havoc, increased damage resistance from 51 to 58%. Changed how the light attack works under the hood to improve consistency in hitting targets. Slightly increased light attack lunge range and ability to target enemies vertically. For Act 2 of Revenant, we're investigating increasing roaming super uptime, so they're more often available when you need them. Stay tuned for that. For both Stormcallers and Prismatic Warlocks, we want to increase the usability of Lightning Surge. To support this, we are making 2 changes to it. The Warlock casting Lightning Surge now has 50% damage resistance versus Titan Barricades during a lunge. Casting Lightning Surge now also makes you amplified. Since the launch of the final shape, Prismatic Hunter has been both highly used and highly effective subclass, according to our data. We've made some PvP-focused changes to Prismatic Hunter abilities during the past season, and will continue to monitor its PvP performance and make changes as necessary. In Revenant, we're making the following changes to Prismatic Hunter and other Hunter subclasses that feature these abilities. Okay, so for the Hailfire Spike Prismatic Grenade, added a projectile tracking and aim assist to increase consistency in hitting targets. For Threaded Spectre, increased detonation damage against PvE combatants by 33%. Swarm Grenade. Oh lord, these have been a nightmare in the Crucible. Swarm Grenade sub-munitions are now easier for players to shoot down. I didn't even know you could shoot them down. Swarm Grenade sub-munitions can now chain detonate other sub-munitions when destroyed. Okay, so just like the little crawlers from Strand, I guess now you can shoot those swarm grenades. Because I think I tried to do this in Crucible, and I couldn't get anything to happen. So maybe that's a good thing? We'll have to see. On the PvE side, the Hunter's combination blow melee in particular has been a little too hot. So we're making some changes to make it more about damage than survivability. So for combination blow, rescaled healing from a flat 80 HP per kill to 100/80/60/40 per kill based on stack count. No longer clears health and shield stun on kill. Remove the 1.5 second internal cooldown on healing. They said that's all for Combat Gameplay Team to share today. We're hard at work on future releases, and we're more optimistic than ever about the future of Destiny and its sandbox. We're excited to take big swings, make dramatic changes, and deliver new innovations. In the short term, we hope you're looking forward to Revenant as much as we are. 10 years of Orbit music. Sometimes when you log into Destiny 2, something else requires your attention immediately, and by the time you come back to the game, the music in Orbit has changed to this amazing tune, and you fondly remember it. And then you sit there, listening for a while, a long while. If this sounds familiar, we have something for you. The video below covers a decade of Destiny Orbit music just for your enjoyment. Wise Guardians know that they can just right-click on the video and select loop, so they don't have to worry about the video ever ending. I actually did add this to my music playlist on YouTube, and I have to admit, I went through the whole playlist. It was, the whole 10 years of Destiny music, and it did bring back a lot of member berries. So, yeah, make sure you check that on YouTube and add it to your music playlist or whatever, wherever you put your music stuff, music videos, all that good stuff. Player support report. Now, you probably think I'm going to say shit's broken. And yes, shit is usually broken. But I tell you what, there's really two things that they have listed here, and they are pretty substantial. So for the first time, I'm actually going to mention it. They talked about Skywatch increasing the enemy density. They're doing that as of Tuesday, September 24th, which will be tomorrow as you're listening to this podcast. And I don't know about you, but the Solstice Forge is still in my my quest tab, my inventory, so that will be fixed as well. So you won't have to worry about saying, what is the Solstice Forge still doing here? That was me. I was wondering, you guys forgot something when Solstice went away. Anyway, so that's it. Another week, another TWID goes by. We hope you enjoyed the first peek into our plans and updates coming with the launch of Revenant. We have tons more to reveal before October 8th arrives. Next week, we'll share a bit more about the new dungeon and about the new artifact perks, what changes we have planned for PvP. Oh, new rewards and more in the coming weeks. Be patient while we gather all of the information. Destiny 2 Community Team. Thank you, Destiny 2 Community Team. I know people probably don't say this as much, but thank you for continuing to communicate with us, your community. I really think it's important. Not a lot of games do this, and I think this is the one thing that really sets Bungie and the Destiny game aside from a lot of other games out there. So thank you, Destiny 2 Community Team. Really appreciate it. All right, it's time for our third topic of the week. And I believe that was going to be RNGGator. So let's get back over there and see what RNG has to say. Remember the days of listening to your favorite radio station and chilling out by the pool, or maybe rocking out in your car singing to those songs you knew by heart on the way to work, only to be interrupted frequently to annoying ad breaks? Today it seems like there's just as much advertising as there is music, and why podcasts have become so popular. But I see more and more podcasts following that same trend, and it seems the corporate machine is slowly intruding into your listening space. This is why podcasts are so great, because we don't have to accept this, and thanks to our Patreon community, we won't be placing any outside ads or promotion into our show. So continue to enjoy our conversations ad-free. If you would like to join our Patreon community, check out GuardianDownCast.com and hit the Patreon button to find out more and how you can help out. Later, Guardian. All right, we're going to go to RNGGator next. RNG, what are you bringing to the table tonight, sir? I heard we got some leaks out there in the interwebs, RNGGator. You want to shed any light on that stuff?
Yeah, one of the Discords I'm in, one of the D2 leak Discords I'm in, I was looking through it this afternoon and saw some marathon leaks about more information about what the game's about, what it's going to be like. They've come out this leak, if all this is true or not. I got some stuff from Paul Tassi, from some guy from a guy named Zaid Ali. He said the gameplay of this game is going to be similar to Tarkov, but more Bungie-fied.
Good.
It isn't going to be hero focused, but rather class focused. There's
still a chance for customization, maybe.
There's two maps currently in playable state. One's on a planet in an abandoned colony. One's on the marathon ship. We don't know how many maps will be at launch. That's just what they've seen so far.
Let's keep in mind, extraction shooter maps are enormous, right? 2 maps is kind of big.
Can be.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
There's feedback. The feedback here recently has been more positive. They've got a trailer in production, I guess, come out. Marathon is also the new player experience is being emphasized to avoid the Destiny new player controversy.
Good. Good start.
So, yeah, anything, just make it better than the new player experience in Destiny. It's not going to be that hard.
There isn't a new player experience in Destiny.
There isn't. Correct.
There isn't.
One thing, developers are still a bit worried, and morale still is low. Because I guess with all Bungie, Sony's, relationship right now. And it's not going to, it probably won't be free to play. They're looking at like a $40 price point, like Helldivers.
What other game came out for $40 that died instantly?
That's what I was about to say. The whole Concord thing, that's tough.
But that was a hero shooter, and that was 5 years behind its time.
Yeah.
Overwatch is been
overplayed.
But the loot, the Tarkov is the same boat, man. That whole game series has been rocking and rolling for about the same amount of time.
But why? Why do you think that is? Do you think it's because, multiplayer, they're making their own content, right? I mean, every game is different.
I think it's just the following for Tarkov. There's just people that are hardcore about it. Tarkov to me doesn't. I'm not a big fan of Tarkov.
I'm not
it's
either.
just,
yeah. But again, there is a massive player base for such a game. That's why, I can't off the top of my head remember another one which says a lot of things, but like I have friends that I used to stream a bunch of different games with back in the day, and they got into Tarkov, and probably over the last 3 years, that is the only thing they play every night. And you try to get to somewhere else, they're like, it's like you, Gator, with Destiny. They're just like, I'm comfortable here. It scratches an inch. Like, I can just go and do this thing. And if they're in that. Like, that's what it's there for. But, if they can pull off having, like I'm seeing here, I think I found your article you're going through, but like the heroes, air quotes, translates to 4 presets that can be customized within those presets. Think of just the customization in Destiny, right? Where you have,
Titan,
you choose your class of the 3, and then there's character customization, air quotes, but it's like a bunch of presets you go through. So there'll still be kind of like Destiny. It looks like that.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Customizing your person.
Sorry, we'll let Gator finish this topic.
Yeah, sorry.
That was my bad because I'm the one that interjected.
Sorry.
No, you're good. The reason they're looking at the $40 thing's been thrown around is because it was originally free to play, but they said after the finals, remember that game that flopped?
Yes.
They moved away from free to play and looked at like Helldivers being $40. But in my opinion, you can't look at Helldivers and compare Marathon to Helldivers. That's two totally different games. Helldivers is not an extraction shooter.
Yeah.
It's a land, kill shit, complete objectives, and I hope you get out extraction shooter, because you might all die and not finish the thing. But, and they said also microtransaction, like cosmetics, battle passes going to be in the game. There might be a video to clear up some of the misconceptions going around regarding it, but the actual significant reveals won't happen until spring of 2025. It's a hero system with more customization. They have unique abilities, double jump, fast revive, invisibility, to name a few. It sounds like they're just going to go kind of like what Bud was saying. You're going to have custom ability, but it's going to be like preset, is what I'm feeling. However, the gear and guns you find are the most important part, and they can be customized a ton, it says. So that might scratch your itch, Gator, if you can customize your gun a ton.
I'm definitely going to play. I'm definitely going to play because I'm a PvP guy.
And see, here's this reminds me of Destiny. There's skill trees for the heroes. You get XP and implants, in quotes, for more customization. The original concept of the game had an emphasis on mysteries and world's first races, like Destiny, but now the plan is to have smaller puzzles and secrets. So art direction, aesthetics in the first trailer are intact now and now are leaned into more heavily, which we saw in the first trailer. Here's my big thing. Sony wants Bungie to hit the 2025 release for this game because of the Sony, like I was saying earlier, the morale. The Sony-Bungie relations aren't in a great place right now.
No.
If they miss releasing this game when Sony wants to, it's probably not going to help Bungie in the long run. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I hear you.
With Sony, I can see more layoffs or whatever coming, like saying, hey, you didn't hit this. We're going to step in. Sony's going to step in more and extend their arm a little more. You know what I'm saying? I'm
gonna say something very controversial here, and I'm probably going to get hate for it, but I'm going to say it anyway because I've been thinking it. What if these layoffs that Bungie's done, this 2-tiered layoff system, what if this was just needed? What if they just overhired? Bungie probably they overhired. And did you hear about the article that the attorney who brokered the deal with Sony, he actually shared some stuff. He said that in a nutshell that there were a lot of upper management that had egos, and that they thought they thought somehow because Sony gave them these billions of dollars, but they would still be their own company. And the attorney even mentioned, I'm sorry, I don't have the source.
You're good.
He said, really? You guys are signing your company over to Sony.
Yeah.
How on earth are you?
Oh, yeah.
You think Sony's just going to stand by and just let you do what you want? they invested, they bought the company.
It's like I said before, when COVID hit and they started doing all those remote jobs, and my state was one of them. All them states where if you worked in these states, you could work. I'm like, they are overextending. Eventually, when people start to go back into work or go back into the office, it's going to shrink. Those jobs and stuff are going to get let go. The guy I work with at my new job, he has a friend that worked for Bungie. He was in that he said he got laid off like a month. He said about a month ago or so. I said, yep, that was that last layoff. He was in that group that got laid off. So,
well, and like you were saying there, Todd, like as much as people love Bungie, right? You can't be a company that has been owned by that many different people and gotten out and then have to get bought by someone else if you make good business decisions, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Bungie itself, as much as we love the games they make, at the core of it, they are not good at financial decisions and running a business as a business.
They have history.
They're great at making games.
Yes.
But they don't make good decisions for themselves as a business. And that's been the main problem the whole cycle.
I mean, if you look at the history of Bungie with Halo and all the games they made in the past, even Marathon way back when, Bungie were a bunch of hippies. I mean, I'm not saying that in a derogatory form. They were a bunch of freelance, free running. We're going to build what we want to build. We don't give a crap what anybody else thinks. We're going to make our game. And I think they carried that for a long time. They had that attitude. They had that swagger. But now the roosters come home to, what is it? The chickens have come home to roost, or whatever that saying is.
Whatever it is.
I mean,
put all the eggs in one chicken.
You put all this. I mean, I run a business. I can understand the financials, and human capital is the most expensive. But I don't agree with some of the people they laid off because, I mean, Salvatore? I mean, come on, man. All I can figure is he might have gotten a bonus way back then when Destiny was really hot, and maybe he got out with a golden parachute. I'm not saying he did, but I run my own business. I know all the expenses that they're going through as a studio. Even though I don't run a studio, I run a business, and business is business, man. And the fact that I saw these layoffs coming, by the way. I knew the other shoe was going to fall. I knew it was going to happen. Mm-hmm. But what I'm thinking is, now that they're down to a lean 850, and I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that, a lean 850, that is a big studio, man. I still think they can do all kinds of things. Granted, they're not going to be able to have their knitting classes, and they're not going to be able to have their own personal yoga massage or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying, but you know what I'm saying? It's going to be, Sony stepped in. Yeah. It's going to be run like a studio now. And that's
they have to do that.
And that's what the attorney, the prior attorney for the Bungie company has said. He goes, it's just good news, guys, because Bungie is actually going to be running like a real studio now. There's not going to be any egos at the top. I mean, a lot of these people left at the top that got laid off or quit or whatever too. So I'm in a wait and see mode with Bungie right now. I want to sit back. I want to see what kind of product they deliver. And then more than that, I want to see what 2025 looks like with Marathon. And going back to your leak about what Marathon is, I heard RNGGator that Marathon was going to be like Avatar, that you were going to be basically operating a character with your mind. You're like an operator, and you have these characters that run in real life, that, in the game life, I'm saying. And when they die, you just get a new one. I don't know. I heard that in a prior leak as well. That it was going to be like you were like it was something like Avatar, where they would lay in like a tube, as a human, and then you would run your avatar in the avatar world, but you would be controlling the mind of an avatar in the. You know what I'm saying? The consciousness.
Yeah, lore-wise, it makes sense why you're respawning.
That kind of intrigued me a little bit. So we'll have to see if that's true.
You'll see. Like I said, if it's a $40 price point, I don't know if I'm jumping on it. Right. I'm going to want to see what it said and what people are thinking about it before I'm going to run out and buy it. It's just
it's tough. Because if they were going off of what happened to the finals and then trying to jump on what happened to Helldivers, but at the same time, after they made that decision, Concord happened, it's tough to see. But again, if they stick with their guns, like when they were first showing stuff for Marathon, I mean, people were psyched for that Bungie spin on what this kind of game can be. And if they don't do we just need to fit into whatever's fitting in, like the corporate, like we have to hit these checkpoints to be a good game. Like if they can keep their Bungie spin on it and stick with kind of what the original concept was for what this looter shooter is going to be, I think they can go for a $40 point and be successful. But again, it has to stand out. Someone in chat was saying with the PvP game, like, was it Hammer? Yeah. Let me find it because he put
has to be really special to get new players.
Exactly, especially as a PvP game.
But now they're going to build Marathon with new players in mind. They're going to be integrating new players into the game. Destiny's run for so long now, they've lost their way as far as making the game being able to be played by new players. I had buddies that played with me years and years ago when they dropped out because the number one reason they dropped out, I'm so far behind now, I can't catch up. You guys are so far ahead of me.
On. Yeah.
Well, it's also just, I tried to get my wife into Destiny.
Yeah, I did too.
Not too long ago, because she's watched me play a ton. She's always interested. She wanted to get into the games I was playing. And she was so fucking bored with the new player experience that she was like, I don't know what's going on. And I'm someone who's played a shit ton of Destiny, and I went into it with her. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, it's confusing.
Right?
There's no guidelines.
No. Yeah, it was awful. Absolutely awful.
I mean, you're going to have to bringing new players is one thing. This game's going to have to bring something that these other extraction shooters doesn't bring. Yeah. To pull people in and go, hey, what's this game? I'm interested. For you to come on Twitch and see everybody playing Marathon. It's going to have to be something different.
Yeah.
Gotta have something. Bungie's got to bring that creative like they did with Destiny. It's something nobody had done. Nobody had seen it, and everybody loved it. If they don't hit that magic or come close to it, the game's going to flop.
Yeah. Well, you have like the new player experience obviously sucks right now, right, in Destiny. But we have to remember also that the Red War was a thing that existed. And as much as people shit on that for some reason,
I loved it
because they ran it 100 times, like the first time you ran through that was incredible. And that's what my wife was hoping for as a new player, So like we know they have the ability to, because everyone started sometime in Destiny and got hooked to get where you're at. Now, if you're listening to this show, you were hooked at some point by the story in Destiny, right?
Yeah.
So we know they have the ability with storytelling, whatever, to get you hooked into their game, right? So if they can somehow find that magic again, they're set. But what they have now, I don't know.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Gator. Go ahead, man.
It's just like what 30 in Gaming just said in the chat about the mobile game. Bungie's not even working on the mobile game. It is mostly built by NetEase with only a small amount of Bungie employees on it.
That's true. I heard that.
But you're calling this a Bungie mobile game. It's like, but they're not helping it. What? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and 30N just brought up another point in chat, which came up with your point earlier, Todd, your first thing. When Destiny first came out, there was no live service game.
You played it and when you were
or
level 18
period.
at the end of the story, the stranger disappears and you're like, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's a market and everyone's making, and we've seen like Fortnite got big, so everyone made a battle royale, and a few of them have stayed around, and a lot of them disappeared over time. The looter shooter thing got huge. A lot of people have launched those. There's a couple that have sticked. And to prove the point, I can only remember the name of one of them, and a lot of them have slowly faded away. The hero shooter, like that's another big thing that for some reason didn't click when Overwatch launched, even though everyone was playing it. Yeah. That's a really interesting thing where that took years for people to go, oh, we'll make that game now, Yeah. And, the Marvel one looks really interesting. It's had a really good introduction to the gaming community. People seem to really like that. And then, of course, you have stuff like Concord that millions of dollars and years of work
that just
4 days later is gone, because you just,
I kept watching people playing Concord on Twitch. They had like sponsored streams, and I'm watching the game and I'm going, no, this game is not good. This is not, and you see the streamer going, I'm loving this. I get you're being sponsored, so you're trying. And,
they're getting $5,000 to play
the game.
For a couple hours.
Yeah, you're getting pushed the game, but I'm going, there's no way as a streamer. I'd be like, this sucks. You don't like me, you don't have to pay me, but this sucks.
I was not impressed when I saw it. I was like, one, it takes way too many bullets to kill these guys. It's like the opposite of Call of Duty. It's like you can shoot someone with 30 or 3/4 of your clip and they can just run around the corner and regenerate. It's like, man, that's tedious. I mean, that's like too far off on the other end of the PvP spectrum. But I will say this. 2016, 2016, Rise of Iron was winding down and Bungie went silent.
Mm-hmm.
We started creating our own content. We were so bored. I mean, dude, I'm a Destiny shill. I love the game. I'll still always love the game. And what I would do to keep busy, I would create new accounts and just rank them up. Just like Battlefield. I just go through all the guns, unlock all the guns, and then use whatever I wanted, use whatever tank. I had everything unlocked on the tank. I'd use whatever I want. But there was this little game that carried Destiny all the way until Destiny 2. It was called Trials of Osiris. People would tune in, including myself, every weekend on Twitch or YouTube to watch their favorite streamers try to go flawless. And if Marathon can create that energy and create that excitement in a PvP game, I think they got a shot.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. That's what they've got to do. Something like that.
As far as the $40 price tag, I don't mind paying that as long as the monetization isn't extreme. I mean, I know they're going to have some cosmetic stuff. As long as it's not pay to play to win, I can't do any games that are pay to win. It just loses all credibility as far as the PvP factor there. Yeah. But if they give you a lot of game or they give you a lot of entertainment that is replayable, which this is the problem that Bungie has right now. I mentioned it last week's episode. Bungie has a problem with replayable content. They have been making this. Final Shape was a fantastic campaign, but once you played it, you're done with it. I mean, yes, you went into the Pale Heart and you collected your fragments and you went to the different worlds, and they did an awesome job with that. I love the fact that they make it a solo instance so people can't frickin' grief you when you're trying to collect chests or whatever, or people run around and kill the yellow bar before you can get to it to get a shot in to get credit for it. You know, those days, those kind of things. Yeah. People are going through this right now at Skywatch, trying to get the Ingrams to drop.
My son the other night was trying to he needed one Ingram to complete the triumph.
Yeah.
And I'm listening to him going, he's like, I've been at this for 40 minutes trying to get one Ingram to drop. I'm like, I'd be like, screw that. I'm going to play something else. I would have to take a break because I would be ready to break something. That's just stupid. And back to what you were saying with Rise of Iron in 2016, like 30 and 30 said, and what Fudd was saying, that was the only live service game at that time. They had the market. Nobody else was competing with them. There are more out there now. It's saturated.
Right. They have to compete.
They have to compete, and the wear of the game is showing, And
another thing to add to that, which I'm correcting myself here, there's a lot more other PvP games to play now than there was back then.
Oh yeah,
there's a lot of games to play out there.
They got really used to not having competition, and that really hurt them.
Maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if they can keep their touch on it, it can happen. At the same time, like, as much as people want to say it was Activision's fault or Microsoft's fault or whatever,
it wasn't completely them. Yeah.
The majority of the really egregious monetization in Destiny was a Bungie decision, and that's something a lot of people don't want to admit.
I always thought it was
Activision. So that has me, but it wasn't. If you really look into the timeline, when really really bad monetization happened, it was when Bungie was by itself. So that makes me worried with a $40 price tag, like what that's going to look like. If you're buying skins or whatever, monetization happens. But again, if they can just stick with what that original plan was and put what we know they can do to make something interesting and new in that sphere, I think it can work. They just really have to learn from their own mistakes and other gaming mistakes.
And they hid behind Activision and stuff, and like, oh look at that! Don't look at this hand.
It wasn't us. It was totally them.
Yeah, we didn't make that decision. Yeah. It was Activision.
I remember when they broke off from Activision, everyone rallied behind Bungie that they had become their own company for a change.
They played it perfectly.
Free! Yeah.
Hey, I was there. I bet. Whatever.
Yeah, I was
the
there.
past is the past. They still produced
a
great game. That's all. I mean, honestly, that's all I care about. Make a good game. As 30 would say, make a game, sell a game, play the game.
Yeah.
I'm probably misquoting him, but make a good game. And who cares about the background? What's the drama? It's all in the background. One thing I did want to mention too, Hammer said in the chat here, streamers playing Trials isn't going to keep normal people playing the game. Well, here's the thing, Hammer. Marathon is not for PvE players. It's for PvP players. It's for Crucible mains and people who play other Crucible games like Tarkov.
But Trials itself doesn't even pull the same numbers it used to. It's not the thing anymore because again, there's so many
it's fun to watch.
Air quotes better PvP experiences out there anymore,
And it's Trials is so
tough because that's not going to hold people. Exactly. It's not going to hold people. It's not the same crowd. There's other things to witness and watch and be a part of.
Right.
It's tough. Like that's things they could bank on holding on. And then obviously, getting rid of Trials 100 times during Destiny 2's life cycle and bringing it back doesn't help the situation at all. But
if you remember when Destiny 2, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's starting to make sense now. When Destiny 2 came out and there were fixed roles on everything, remember how the community revolted and how it was more of a team-based shooter? You know who was behind that? Noseworthy.
Oh, sorry.
And Smith. They're gone now. They're gone now. That was their version of Destiny 2 when it came out in 2017, and they had to do an about face. And they might have had to swallow their pride and say, well, we were wrong, I guess. So I remember they were the ones selling that game when it came out. They were the ones doing the live commentary or the live, the Vidocs and stuff. They were the ones selling it. I mean, Luke Smith was on the stage with a big 2 behind it. I remember. And, when it came out and was fixed roles, there was really, everybody gets the same gun. There's no progression really. I mean, I think they missed the mark on what people that play Destiny really want. But anyway, I'm beating a dead horse now. But you guys think that's controversial? Wait till you see and hear. I should say hear and see because you're seeing me live. What I have to say next. I'm gonna end the show with a very, very. I don't know if it's controversial, but we'll get into that. Right after this.
Well, real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry, real quick. Hammer Crasher brought up a point.
Okay, go ahead.
Rewind.
I don't have my soundboard tonight. Sorry.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. Hammer Crasher says, I don't watch streamers. People play a game because it's fun and their friends play with them.
Right.
That first part is very important. I don't watch streamers. And the thing that we need to remember, we are people who are plugged in, right? We watch news on games. We read leaks, all this stuff. We are a minority of gamers, honestly, at this point, right?
We are.
It's becoming more and more because it's easier. It's more accessible, right?
Yeah.
But the majority of people that are playing these games aren't in the know. They see a trailer. They go, oh, that looks interesting. I'm going to jump onto it, right?
Yeah.
And that's another thing that needs to happen with Marathon is how do you connect with people that aren't completely plugged in with everything going on.
And they jump into a game and they get run over by 3 sweat lords.
Yeah, and then they're gone. That's it.
They're like you,
fun. I'm out.
$40.
They're you
down
without
the
being plugged in. I had a rough day. I just want to sit down and have fun.
Yep.
Fuck, that wasn't fun.
Yep.
I'm out. That's a huge portion of people that needs to be looked at. And can they do that? Is another question.
Can we go back to the world where you had demos that can play the game, and then if you wanted to buy it,
Yeah. It's called watching YouTube now. That's your demo.
Yeah, but that's not me experiencing it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. You're doing it through someone who gets an early copy or does a review of it before it's released, or if they're not,
no, hold on, someone's knocking on the door.
Okay.
All
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's just
it
is what it is. So.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to my final topic of the night, and I kind of saved the juicy one for last here. We'll get to that right after this.
Scumdeath here, your favorite uncle, and you are listening to the most heavy metal Destiny podcast on Earth, Guardian Downcast. Guardian Downcast! Yow!
All right, that brings us to the final topic of the night. And hey, chat, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. This was a lot of fun. And FUD, RNG, I mean, I can't have two better guys to get the conversation going here, man. I mean, I got a lot of people I love in the community, but my first live show, I mean, we had a rocky start tonight, guys. If you watch the replay, you'll see. But
that's how first time should go.
Yeah, it was really, it's memorable, right?
Yeah.
Something I can put in my journal. But I came across this story. I'm a big Medium user. It's like a blogging site, and they blog about everything. It could be gaming, it could be getting rich, it could be family, it could be
underwater basket weaving.
I've even put stories in there about my marriage. I've actually blogged too. Did
you put the spoon story in there?
I did put the spoon story in there.
Nice.
But I came across this one article. It's a blogger. His name is, I want to make sure I give him credit. His name is Josh Beiser, and he posted this on August 30th. And the theme of this is, why are live service games struggling, and what can they learn from highly profitable and popular gacha games? The article starts out by saying that gacha games, which some may really oppose, still need to understand that these games make serious money. We're talking $40 to $50 million a month. Think about that. He also said that the more traditional studios have been trying to chase this approach for years now. But he says these gacha game studios approach live service and monetization from two very specific points that everyone else seems to miss. The traditional gaming studios from the mid 2000s to early 2010s, they would do something called, I think it was called Fun Pain. Basically what they would do is the devs would create intentional barriers and frustration in the game to get someone to spend money to get rid of them, like ads. Well, since 2016, they've kind of made an about face, and their approach is more like catching flies with honey kind of approach. But the fact is that every single AAA developer has been unable to compete with their live service games compared to mobile games. And he gives a bunch of reasons here, and I'm going to just fly all over the place here. But the first thing is they do continued development, meaning that these live service games, they provide updates to the game all the time, updates that change the current state of the game. And not only things like new characters, but also things like seasonal events, story reruns, and new stories, gameplay events, and mini games, which, to the point, Destiny 2 today does a lot of these things. The episodes are still hit or miss. Time will tell on that. You know, they've got the exotic missions. They do the sandbox updates. They have the Halloween events, and the summer they just had the solstice event, and they even change modifiers in GMs and the Crucible. Iron Banner pops around, Trials comes out there, so they always have events every week that they're bringing out. But he said a lot of games rely on player generated content. In other words, multiplayer, being that the players are the content. And long term, he's saying that this will not work. He does mention that live service games need to leave in a standard version of the game, and that the content needs to be evergreen, meaning players can rerun the missions and give the new players a chance to jump into what they might have missed. Looking at you, Bungie, taking away Red War. But he even goes further to say that the worst thing a studio can do is make their content playable only once. Campaigns and storylines on rails. That come to anybody's attention? But here's the thing that got me thinking. What happens when the season and episode ends? The reward track for that season disappears. Meaning that if I was to come back and play episode 1 6 months from now, and I'm talking about Destiny, of course, that I would not get to complete the reward track for all of those ornaments, those cool ships, the shaders, the armor, the weapons. You get my point. Why spend all that time to create that content only to blow it up when the season ends? This is why I thought that for the year, the season pass bar, that goes to 200 in episode 1. What if it goes to 201 to 400 in episode 2? At least for the entire content year, it should all be available, right? Because they said when they talked about episodes in Destiny that you could play them anytime. There's no FOMO. You can come back to them any time of the year and play the entire episode. But I think with the season resets they're just kind of going against the long form content and playability. He gives two standouts here, and this is the one that it really kills me to say this. Warframe. Warframe, they sell resources and items that are required for their quest and certain events, but everything that is needed to play the game can just be earned through general gameplay. This goes back to my idea. Yeah.
First Ascendant?
This goes back to my idea that Bright Dust should be earnable in game from playing the game, not just from spoonfuls that they give you from doling out from repeatable bounties and like the seasonal like solstice event, or this extensive Pathfinder that you only can do limited amounts of time, by the way. I think it's the first 5 that give you the Bright Dust, and it's like 120, 150 Bright Dust at a time. When a ship costs 3,000 Bright Dust, how long are you going to have to do to get that ship that you want? And here's the thing. The ships rotate. They disappear. So it's always a rotating things that you're trying to earn in game. This game came out. I remember playing Warframe when it came out. It came out in 2014, right before Destiny did. I remember getting my PS4 and it was free on the PlayStation Network. And I plugged it in. I downloaded it. It's sad to say, but I just can't play Warframe. The movement is too herky-jerky. I actually got motion sickness playing this, and I play virtual reality games. I'm punching stuff. I play all these different things. I never get motion sickness. But Warframe, for some reason, I started playing it, and I just got motion sickness. The camera work is so jerky, and then the color palette is weird, and I know they've improved the color palette with stuff they brought out. But I know it was a lot to talk about in this article, but what I seem to get from this blog was that studios need to create a game that stands out and is fun to play without taking out things that are essential to the core game and putting it behind a paywall. Second, these live service worlds need to keep everything available to anyone who wants to either simply buy it or, more importantly, have it earnable in game. Think of all the dev time making the content, only for it to be thrown away once a season ends. They do this in Fortnite too, I believe, right? The season ends and it's gone.
Yes.
And Call of Duty, you play the season, it's gone. Even though I didn't really like the feel of Warframe, they keep everything in the game. All the content in the game is ready to play or earn or buy. I tell you what, Bungie needs to take a serious look at Digital Extremes, because what I've seen, their community, if you look at their player numbers, continue to grow steadily versus Destiny's player base that seesaws when content comes out. And I think if Destiny looked at Digital Extremes and Warframe and saw how loyal their players are, the fact that they don't sunset anything, they keep everything into the game. I mean, their store is extensive. I looked at that store and I was like, I could spend $5,000 and not have everything in the store. It's nuts. But let's look at Concord, that 5-player hero shooter. It was totally dated, but I think that might be the canary in the coal mine for other studios out there that are kind of thinking about that multiplayer method. But I still have my fingers crossed for Marathon. I really want it to succeed, but we'll just have to see what happens there. But games like Genshin Impact have crazy amount of content, and it's always there for new players to discover. I don't know. I was reading this article, and I'm sorry, I'm all over the place on this, but the basic theme here is quit making seasonal content that goes away.
And sunsetting shit.
And getting rid of storylines.
Well, no, I'm a big World of Warcraft player, right? And obviously, if Destiny did everything like that, it'd be a massive game size, which I'd be okay installing that to have this. But everything that has ever been in WoW is in WoW, right? If you want to go grind old raids for mounts, any gear you pick up, you can transmog any piece of gear to look like another piece of gear, right? There's reasons to go back and run all this old content. If you run out of stuff to do, you go run all the old stuff. It's one of my favorite things to do, right? Final Fantasy 14 does this. I know that's another reason Warframe has done very well. If a bunch of raids in Destiny 2 weren't sunset, I would still love to go play Original Leviathan is my favorite raid, right? I would love to run people through that. It's such a good first raid experience, right? But another thing with what you're talking about here is like there was a period of time where a lot of these live service games relied heavily on that FOMO aspect, which is why you had here's our battle pass, right? Or seasonal content, and when it's gone, it's gone. You need to be here to experience that. And there was a time where that worked, right? Players, FOMO hurt people, right? They had to be a part of this. But we got to a point where there's so many different games now that are hitting things right, that aren't being predatory with your time and such, that like when that happens, they can easily go, all right, well, I guess I'll just miss out on that and move on to something else. To bring up Helldivers 2 for the seventh time tonight, right? That's a newer game that came out this year where they have, it's not like a battle pass with a season, right? They bring out these, Gator, what are they called? Please tell me.
War bonds.
War bonds, thank you. And it's not like a set period of time and then that war bond's gone. Every war bond they put in the game, you can grind and earn it in game, right? To unlock the skins, emotes, all that kind of stuff, but they're all there. You can load Helldivers 2 right now for the first time, and the first one through the newest one that just came out 2 days ago is all there in the game. And you can grind out the stuff to earn them in game. The currency's earnable in game. You can grind the hell of it to get it, or pay the money, right, to unlock all the stuff. Exactly. But all that content is there for you to do. And you're right, gamers just aren't falling for FOMO anymore. It's a thing that a lot of people really leached onto as you need to stay in our game or else you miss things. And it's just, it doesn't
30
work
and Still
anymore.
Gaming in the chat nailed it. MMOs back in the day, you stopped playing for the month. You were done playing. The game you had to pay to play it. That's the way mobile games are making so much money now. Because my wife loves Bejeweled. She around? She's already in bed. She will spend freaking gold coins to keep playing. Keep playing the content, but it's always more content. They're paying for more content.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would play in like a Destiny game. I don't know how that would translate.
It's also interesting because like in a mobile game to like, the classic, like I ran out of energy. Like it's like $1
They
or
nickel
two
and dime you to
here
death.
and there, right?
I fell for it.
Which adds up over time. Absolutely. But you don't, that's why they're making so much money, because you as the consumer, which is not something I want to see in my games, obviously, don't realize you're getting nickel and dimed, and eventually it adds up to hundreds of thousands of dollars. But, when you're playing your thing and you look at a thing, it's $40 in the shop anymore. Like an Apex skin is like
ridiculous.
$30 anymore, right? So it's like, you're not going to do that. There's obviously the whales that do it, but there's not as many people hitting that. What I'm worried with this article is that that's going to be a thing that people realize, and then they can nickel and dime and things. But, is it First Descendant or Last Descendant? What's the name?
I was just going to bring it up.
First
Descendant. Yeah. Where they have that same thing. You can pay money to skip a lot of the grind, but you still can spend the time to grind it out if you want. And they've made a ton of money from that because it doesn't feel predatory. It still, in a way, is, but you can spend the insane extra amount of time to just get the content anyway.
Can you imagine if the Eververse store stuff never went away? This crazy ship that just popped up for this episode, for this Act 3 episode, because they refresh stuff all the time. Can you imagine? I mean, they do have a little bit of a, you can go back in the seasons and get stuff, armor, ornaments and stuff. Can you imagine if a new player came into Destiny and the first place they sent you was to Red War? You play through the Red War campaign, you're stripped, you have no weapons. You're starting from scratch. You're going down into the EDZ, scrounging and trying to find an old rusty sidearm. Man, that's how you get a new player into Destiny. And then, but instead of taking away Leviathan and I mean, we can say that Destiny 1 was another game. We can excuse that part. But can you imagine, and this is why I always came up with the Destiny Online thing. From long ago, I said these are assets they put in Destiny 1, FUD. And what if what if they
Destiny, the
shifted
game.
everything
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
gave you everything that Destiny has ever put out in the game, Destiny 1 or Destiny 2, Destiny Online. And you could earn whatever you wanted. You could look at everything that was available out there, and and Destiny and Bungie has done well. If you scroll over something, it'll tell you in most cases what you need to do to get that to drop for you or to earn it. That is definitely something they've improved over time. But can you imagine if there was no sunsetting, no maximum amounts that you had to keep in your vault? Your vault was unlimited. Let's just say I've come up with this idea as well. Make a pattern for it that where anytime you want to try that gun, every role you've unlocked, if you've unlocked Kill Clip and Head Seeker on that, when you bring that gun out of collections, instead of it just being the blue weapons now that they give you, what if you could bring out any weapon you wanted to and go through all the roles that you've played to get for that gun, even if it's crafted, all the stuff that you've gotten crafted, you could bring back and create that weapon again. In fact, doesn't Warframe do that? Don't they have like a 3D printer where you can actually make stuff, bring stuff? I haven't played it. I've never played it. I haven't played it in ages, but I just I get motion sickness.
You have like a crafter.
It's too bad because it sounds like a fun game.
Yeah, Warframe does have a thing where like if you go and collect stuff, you can build it and go on and do other stuff. It builds on your ship and you can come back and pick it up. Yeah,
I don't know. This article, the basis of this article was how it was all about game design. It was how to design your game.
Yeah. And
he went into all kinds of extremes here, and I was just trying to give you the TLDR version. That's why I was bouncing all over the place here. But the gaming studios out there are trying to do what the mobile games are doing, and maybe that's the reason why Destiny's coming out with a mobile game. But I'll mention this again. What if this Destiny Rising leak about this mobile game, and it's just character-based, kind of like the beginning of Destiny? I know, Gator shaking his head. What if they release this game everywhere, not just mobile? What if there was a Destiny Rising game that came to PlayStation tomorrow? All people who want to try Destiny could jump in and find out all the beginning roots of Destiny, and then jump into Destiny 2 or Destiny 1 or whatever and keep playing. I don't know. But it just seems...
Well, it's a thing that could happen, like especially with the technology we have on phones now. Some of these mobile games are insane.
I don't play a lot of them,
and they do launch on other platforms. There was I got to remember what the BR was called that I got into for a while and really loved it, and then I found out it was a mobile game that got transferred over, but you could kind of tell, but not really. But I think we're at a point now where you can have more mobile games that launch everywhere else that. Obviously, it's not going to be the same fidelity, that a modern game has, but still holds up very well, and you can get lost into it and addicted and whatnot. But that could be something that happens. Is it confirmed that the mobile game is Destiny related, or just the Bungie's
called Destiny Rising? That's the leak, right, Gator? I think he had the info on it.
I don't know.
He had the article pulled up from Destiny Leaks.
It is.
Was that when I stepped away? Did we talk about that? I'm embarrassed.
No, we did. We didn't go into it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just it's a focus on a full Destiny experience. PvP, strikes, missions, raid. Inclusion of a raid may not be guaranteed, but there ain't no way I'm raiding on a phone.
I can't. I got a 28-inch, 120 hertz 4K monitor. Why on earth would I want to? I mean, phone resolutions are fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I have to wear readers, guys, to look at the screen clearly. What do you think I'm going to do on this phone? What the hell am I going to do on this? Even if I put the controller here, where I can use a controller to play, I don't get people who play portables.
You might as well get a Steam Deck.
I don't understand. My son had a Steam Deck. I turned it on and tried to play with it, and I was like, if I was in line at the DMV and I had time to kill, or I'm at the grocery store with my wife and I'm bored out of my mind and I'm just going to hide around the corner and play with my Switch or whatever, I could see using it, but I don't have time to use these portable gaming devices. The only time I have is when I get home and I'm playing on my PC or my PS5. I just don't get the mobiles thing. I just don't get it. Yeah. But younger players.
There's people that have that time. Not everyone's running.
And not everyone has a 4K monitor to jump in front of. I get that too. You play with what you can.
But Fud, like you were saying for the Destiny Rising game, there's only about 5 or 6 people from Bungie on the staff for the project. They're just there to provide narrative and some support with character models and visual references.
Here's how we do monetization.
Other than that, NetEase is the one creating the game.
Yeah,
so, I mean it's all speculation right now as far as the mobile and Marathon. These are leaks, by the way. They're not confirmed by Bungie. So,
I mean, I hope it launches and it's really good and it's nothing but NetEase.
Doesn't NetEase like monetize big time? Aren't they very predatory on their monetization? From what I heard.
Yes, every mobile, everything mobile is, absolutely, 100%.
I can't stand games where you sit there and you'll run out of rolls, or you'll run, and then there's five ads of, hey, buy this package, buy this is $9.99, this one's $4.99. I'm like, that's why I'm like, remove game, I'm done.
What's that? And going back to like World of Warcraft, right? That has everything.
They don't take anything out,
right? If Destiny, they don't any raid that's ever existed, dungeons, any of that, it exists, right? And they do really cool events where like it's called time walking, where like it'll be a different expansion is the focus, and like you can do a raid from that expansion, or you queue into a special version of them where it's been updated to current content, right? And you do enough of those, you get like you have a random chance to get like a piece of raid gear, right? So it's very good to do it, and that keeps things current. But you can still go back and I run things all the time for different collectibles in that game, right? But like if Destiny, because we have to always bring it around for you, buddy. If they brought everything to the game, I mean, let's be honest, it would still be a smaller game than Call of Duty is. Like, it's insane how much space you need for a COD.
Amazing.
And
100 gigs.
Yeah, like I would. Yeah, it's like the last one was like.
I think half of the memory. I think half of the memory is just graphics.
Yeah. But like, why? If everything was in I mean, I still don't think that would save the game, I'm thinking obviously, but if everything was there, it would last a much longer without needing new content. If you could then make your own fun and go back and run old raids and strikes and, isn't the like Forsaken campaign gone too now?
Gone. That was that's one of the favorite stuff I
which is
going
one
to
of the
Spider
best campaigns,
and creating legendary shards from I know I said the word, but using Glimmer to buy legendary shards, because I would farm Glimmer all day and then turn them into legendary shards. I mean, little transactions like that, they've limited so much now with in and outs at the Cryptarch. I miss Forsaken. Forsaken was a lot of fun too. Yeah.
Hammer Crasher, Destiny's 160 gigs on Xbox. How big is COD now on Xbox?
I think 180.
Well,
I think 180.
Just so I know the difference
for Cold War.
180.
I guess it depends on what you choose to install.
If you're installing the War,
what
is it, the Warzone, the BR. I mean, that's on top of it.
That's
that
true.
Gonna take a lot. Yeah.
I think it was the newer Modern COD 4 or Modern Warfare where it was like you had to install everything. There wasn't an option, and that was like stupid big. It was insane, but. I don't know. It's like, it's tough. Like, how do you monetize so that you can make the money without being so bad that people really, because gamers are smart now. Like there was a time when we were dumb as fuck, right? And we'd fall for anything.
Take my money.
We're smarter now. Like, what's that fine line between, I'll skip this for $1 here and $1 there, and I'm going to spend, $80 on a skin anymore. Like
249.7.
And on top of that, how do I make my game interesting enough where people want to try it, different enough where it's fresh, but also samey enough where people feel comfortable with it?
Good point. Right. I mean, I'm always thinking of the new player.
It's tough.
Hazel used to hate when I get into this just trope, but I'm always thinking about the new player because if Destiny isn't growing from new players, it's just slowly dying. It is a dead game. It is slowly dying.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's a combination. Now I think it's a combination of the layoffs, a combination of for a couple weeks there, we didn't know if there was a future Destiny game. They weren't saying anything. And I think Sony might have prompted them to say, hey, you guys need to say something here. So get your shit together, get your notes together, pull together a timeline or a future map, a graphic showing what is coming in the future in Destiny, because people were like, even I, probably the most shilliest Destiny player out there, I was kind of feeling like, wow, is this it? Is this really going to be it? And granted, it's a 10-year-old game. This is the longest game I've ever played in my life. Call of Duty was a close second. I think I played Call of
100%.
Duty for like 8 years.
But as you had, it was a fresh, different thing.
It was a whole new game every year.
you know?
And what drove me to play Call of Duty, not only with my friends every night, because we had like a rotating 50 guys that we would first come, first serve. Whoever was there ran on that team, and the others would get together another team. So you'd play different friends every night. But the thing is what drove us to play Call of Duty, it is repeatable content. We would prestige, reset everything back, all our weapons back to nothing. And we considered it a challenge because then we had to use the guns without the attachments. All of our perks, our silent steps and our sleight of hand and all these great perks that you had for gun skill, you would have to earn all of that again. And whatever they did, I mean, they had the prestige emblems, they had the prestige banners that showed people how long you've been playing this game. And then you got the gun camos, the diamond camos. Remember that? 500 headshots with the weapon to get the diamond camos. You had Black Ops was the best at this. They would give you all these camos that you unlock for every gun. I mean, come on, Destiny. Come on. It's right there. It's right there.
And also like making strikes laughable is an issue. Strikes was the big thing. Like when nothing else was happening, you could just talk with your friends and grind strikes. And you can't do that anymore.
Well,
it's just laughable.
The TWAB this week, and I'll talk about this to our audio listeners who listen to the audio form of this podcast. I am going over the TWAB this week, and we'll get into that. But they're improving a lot of stuff in GMs and reward tracks, more and easier rewards for different levels of Nightfalls and stuff that you play, which this really doesn't hit me because I don't really play a lot of Nightfalls, because that to me is replayable, but to a point it just gets so boring knowing the enemies are going to come out of the same spot 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, big group of thralls are going to come out over here, and I just know. And you can only play it so many times, but Destiny needs to figure out how to make repeatable content in this game. And until they figure that out, they're going to be on that treadmill of continuing to try to make content. And they talked about non-linear stories and more of a discovery game with Frontiers. That's all we know. But it seems like they're trying something different that gives me hope. But I'm going to still wait and see. But I'll still be grinding for that Legend title come tomorrow on my day off. So
here's what they need to do, right? Strikes, repeatable content. You want to do it, right? Jumping back to World of Warcraft, the Mythic Plus system. If you never heard of it, right? People eat this shit up, right? So you have your dungeon, right? You have a normal dungeon. You do it heroic. You do it mythic, right? And then they have a Mythic Plus system where you can go up to, I think they've downgraded it now. It's like plus 15 is the highest you can go. And every couple, like plus 3 adds a different modifier that your team has to deal with as you go through, et cetera, and so forth and onward, that adds different things that either help your team or or hurts your team. And that you have to work as a team together to get around it, which makes bosses stronger. Ads can do different weird things and whatnot. But the gear you get along with that increases to the point where you can just grind Mythic Plus to get better gear than you would if you were Mythic raiding. But you're grinding it in smaller segments with a core group of friends and flying through there. Whereas at the same time, if you're raiding in World of Warcraft, you have looking for raid, which you can queue into, right, with random people, and it's a very dumbed down version of the raid, so you can experience it with lesser rewards, right? And then you have normal, hard, or normal, heroic, and mythic raiding, right?
Right.
But yeah, looking for raid has been a massive thing that I think Destiny would really do well from, with the small amount of people
10%
that experience it.
I've played one raid, 10% of the population. What's that tell you?
Exactly.
Think how long it takes to make a raid. It is a major piece of content.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're incredible. That's the main thing I would grind when I was playing, is getting groups together. And
you would build your power up and stuff so you can go play the raid. You had a purpose to go jump into the raid. Okay, so you remember the Forever 39 days, or was it Forever 29 days in Destiny
Oh
1?
yeah.
Yeah,
Forever
Forever 29,
29.
and until you got through Vault of Glass, you would never hit level 30. That's another thing for another time. But if Bungie can figure out how to make not only repeatable content, but repeatable content that we want to play because it gives us good stuff. Even if it's an emblem, even if it's a character, I don't know. Call of Duty puts little baubles on your guns, which I think was the stupidest thing ever. But hey, it's something you can earn to put on your gun that shows a little bit of personality and flair and more personalization. Bungie's always just gone around it the hard way.
Is there, and it could just be, I just am dumb and have no idea. Is there like a raid sparrow or ship anymore?
For
can drop?
strikes? I mean,
For a specific
raids,
raid. No, for a specific, like there was a time you do a raid, right? And there's a specific ship that
They
drops
still do that.
From that
They still
raid.
do that.
Is that a thing that
They still do it for
happens?
trials.
Okay.
They do
Okay,
it for,
good.
I mean, you can get your own gear from trials, and that's in-game content for PvP,
But do they specifically
Yes,
do it
they
for
do.
raids? Like, is there
There's
a
an
ship
exotic that you can only
for
get.
doing?
It's a linear fusion rifle.
Yeah, but you're talking about a weapon.
Okay,
That's a
okay.
weapon.
I'm not talking about a weapon.
Vanity. You're
I
talking
know
about vanity
he's
items.
Specifically,
Gotcha.
is there?
Yes.
Yes. Is there a
I'm
sparrow
not-
or a ship that you only
believe
get
so.
from that raid? Is that a
I
thing?
am
not
not
about Salvation.
sure if there's one from this new raid. I want to say yes.
I'm not
but
sure about
100%
Salvation's
sure.
Edge, but in past raids, I mean, let's think about it. We got special shaders for playing Leviathan, remember? The purple and white. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's my favorite shader
Talus's Treasure
to date.
and is still my most favorite shader. It's like a bronze gold. It's just
Yeah, it's
beautiful.
incredible.
So,
But that's the
Yes.
it's like having a specific weapon that drops from the raid is really cool. But having all the extra stuff. Go ahead, Gator. Sorry.
There is a exotic sparrow and a ghost
There
and
you go.
weapon shaders that drop from the
but
new
only
raid.
10% of
we
the
need-
player
some
base
of
will
it.
ever
We need
experience
ships
it.
back, baby.
But
Yeah.
I like
Give
that
us
raid.
raid
I like
specific
that looking
ships.
for
But
raid
here's-
idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah. Oh, it's
But here-
It's a
massive.
learning raid.
I used to be really hard. Well, it's really nice because I used to be really hardcore into raiding, right?
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
in heroic
I was
raiding,
too. I was
dipped into
very,
mythic
very
and
hardcore.
whatnot. And I've gotten to a point where I'm like, I just want to experience the content, get some decent gear, and I'll do some mythic pluses to fill it in, right? It's an awesome, you can kind of pick and choose out of the content where you want to get your gear. So I can do LFR every week for a chance to get still decent gear. It's better than heroic dungeon gear, right? I can experience the content. It's kind of dumbed down, but I can still get the story. I understand the boss mechanics to a point, which lets me go into normal if I want, right? And normal teaches me other mechanics, lets me move up to heroic if I want. And there just isn't, it's just, here's what the raid experiences is, especially with the latest raid where it's very hard. And you had a lot of people returning to the game for final shape. And then we're like, fuck that. That's really hard.
Yeah.
I'm out. Like,
I haven't
it's
played
tough.
Salvation's Edge yet. Mainly because I haven't had the time to put a team together, and I've had people reach out that want to run me through it. But I just haven't had the time to set aside yet to do it. It's just crazy time of year, right, for me. I mean, my business is just going crazy. I'm still behind schedule. But,
100%.
but, yeah, good points all. I mean, Gator, do you want to add anything? You were going to say something? Okay.
No,
Well-
I'm good. Yeah.
God, you're handsome.
It's just the kind of thing where it just frustrates me because I know for me it's about the gun. For me, it's about the gun. If there's a new gun that comes out, a new exotic, man, when that Choir of One came out, I was on it, man. I was right there playing the day one solo. I played the first the exotic mission for that, and my God, I went into patrol and started killing stuff like it was nothing. I'm like, man, this is a fantastic gun. I even bought the shader from Eververse because it was beautiful shader that could go on this gun. I had a little silver left. Okay. Don't at me. Anyway, but
I'm adding you right now.
yeah, it's just, my whole point of this was quit resetting the season pass bar. If you're going to have, if episodes are going to be something you can come back to at any time, other than running that activity that no one wants to play, what is it? The Vex activity now where you have to farm these things from the world and then deposit them into failsafe to up your level or whatever. If that's the only way I can get my gear for if I come back 6 months later to play episode 1 and there's no track for me to earn gear, that's going to kill a lot of these episodes. It's going to kill it. If Bungie was smart, they should at least try this out and see if it retains more players. Stretch out that season pass bar, go all the way to level 600 till the end of the year. Why not? I mean, you just add, because when you reach 200, you've gotten everything for that one episode 1, all the themed armor and ships and everything. And then you get into episode 2, then you start getting into more harmonizers to get your patterns for your guns so you can do all that. But more importantly, you got all new gear, all new themed gear. Is probably going to be, I don't know, Fallen or something. Scorn type.
The new
for
stuff
the next episode. It's like Scorn.
It's Fallen. It's vampiric.
I mean, come on, that sounds awesome to me.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my point, is the fact that the gacha games out there, mobile games and gacha games, they leave everything in to be earnable forever. So when a new player comes into this game and they decide, I want to play Destiny 2. Okay, here you go. You start right here. Red War. And you got to start from scratch like everybody else did in Destiny 2. It boggles my mind why they took that mission out. Of all the missions to take out, they could have taken some of the middle filler crap out. Why did you? I played that mission like 15, 20 times. And it just doesn't make sense. And then now they're backpedaling. Now Sony's like, we got to figure out how to rebrand this game for new players. And yes, I understand it's a 10-year-old game, but how old is WoW?
20 years.
Are you serious?
20 years this year.
20 years.
20 years.
So
I've been playing WoW for 20
there you go.
years.
There's proof of concept right there. WoW leaves
Insane.
everything in for you to earn. It's a 20-year-old game, and I don't know what the player base is now, but I'm sure it's steady.
And multiple avenues to experience every content, whether it's PvP or PvE, or if you don't want to touch either of those.
Enough said. I guess the way to end it right there. So
I got a question for you after the podcast.
All right.
About WoW.
Okay.
Well, hey,
Deal.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Thank
and
you,
you guys are
dude.
awesome. Hey, I wanted to thank all of you who stopped by tonight to join the conversation with us. You guys and gals have been awesome. I appreciate the feedback and chat tonight. Hopefully we address at least some of your questions and input into the show. I'm really thinking of doing this kind of thing more and more, at least for the roundtable episodes. So, discord.gg/Guardian Downcast. Go to our show feedback channel in our Discord and let us know if you like this, if you like the live shows. If you don't, fine, you're not going to hurt my feelings, because it's a lot of work putting live shows together. It's a lot easier to just do everything in post. But I really am trying to do more of a video podcast. I mean, you could even say I've been from Elmer Fudd and from 30 and Still Gaming doing their podcast live. I think you do yours on Twitch, right, Fudd? Just Some Guardians?
Correct.
I'm sorry, Just Some Gamers. Just Some Gamers.
Just some gamers.
Speaking of which,
thank you.
Give everyone the particulars, Fudd. Where can they find you? Talk about your Twitch channel, all the good stuff you do out there, sir.
Well, first and foremost, play WoW, play Helldivers. Okay. Enjoy your lives. But for the podcast, Just Some Gamers, please check that out. We do a weekly podcast, where we discuss all things gaming. We recently did an episode about our favorite protagonists in gaming, our favorite AA games, stuff like that. We've done deep dive discussions on Helldivers. We have one coming up on Space Marines. We have a gaming club going through the Mass Effect series. We're currently working on Mass Effect 3. That's why Runga is playing through that as well. So if any of that stuff you're interested in, please check out that. It's on podcatchers everywhere. As for myself, I'm ElmmerFuddGames, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all those places at ElmmerFuddGames. M-D.
Thank you, sir. Hey, and I keep you titled this podcast. It's so a matter of factly, but get on in here, right? Is one podcast that you do as well? I love those.
Oh yeah,
dude,
I should plug that one too.
If you guys want to hear like deep down
we talked about
interviews,
JSG.
This guy really gets into the nitty gritty. I mean, it's very fun to listen to. So get on in here. I listen to it on Spotify.
Yes. Another podcast I do. Sorry. Yeah, get on in here. You should. I still record it. You should definitely listen to it. We were just talking about JSG, and that was on my head. I'm so bad at my own shit. But yeah, so what that is I do one-on-one interviews with people in my Discord so we can all get to know each other better, since everyone has come in from different games over the years, whether that was obviously a ton of people from Destiny. We had a big Red Dead run, right? A lot of people came for that. A lot of people come on for Helldivers, World of Warcraft. So many different games that people have come into. Buy the merch if you want. Anyway, but yeah, so a lot of people that don't understand they have a lot of things in common. So it's been really fun to interview everyone one-on-one, and people in the Discord are like, "Oh, I didn't know you play that game. I play it too. Like, let's get together and try it." It's been awesome. Thoroughly enjoy it.
And he has some of the greatest intros.
He
for
does.
this.
He sings every one of them. It's awesome. The man's musical.
Oh, I know. I know.
Gator, yours is pretty legendary.
Well, speaking of which, Gator, where can people find you, sir?
You can find me modding about every Discord known to man for Destiny, and you can find me, not on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me pretty much in Discord. I'm there somewhere. I have names all across.
By the way,
board.
if you look at the description in this live stream tonight, you'll see the links for ElmmerFudd's Twitch channel and RNGGator's X handle, and mine as well. If you want to follow, I'd appreciate that. And do me a favor, everyone, if you haven't subbed already to the channel, please throw a sub there. I do have some Crucible stuff coming out very soon. I'm working on the last video right now. It's a big playlist I'm putting together, and it's something I've never done before. I'm putting it all out at once, like a Crucible toolkit, kind of just things I've learned over all the 9 years of playing Crucible, and I still love playing it today. So, check that out as well. And hit the like button, guys. Hit the like button, because if more people hit that like button tonight, that tells YouTube they need to recommend it to more people, and that means people will find out about our show. I mean, it's hard to believe it's my first live episode on my YouTube channel, 270 episodes later, right? So, I just thank everybody for stopping by tonight, and great show, guys. Great show. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this month's Roundtable episode, but what do you guys think about our topics this week? I talked about the enormous backlog of games we all want to play, but we only have so much free time and so much is competing for it today. Fudd also discussed whether it's due possibly to the new streaming culture and YouTube popularity in gaming that this new, quote, meta mentality has kind of sucked the fun out of many of the online games. And we reminisced about the time when we all used any weapon we wanted and just enjoyed what we liked. And how today, I don't know, everyone seems to be just using the same thing in game to get the win. RNGGator talked about the latest leaks around the Marathon and the new mobile game Destiny Rising. And I mentioned, what if this new character-driven game Destiny Rising is actually going to go wide to everyone? And this is their new, quote, branding to entice new players into the Destinyverse. I don't know. Who knows? Finally, I closed out the show talking about how gacha games and other long-term successful live service games like World of Warcraft and Warframe have kept steady player base numbers, while Destiny's always seemed to be seesawing all the time. We realized a similarity between these two games, and that was the fact that all of the content over all those years stays in the game for new and existing players to buy, or better yet, earn in game. What a concept. Looking at you, Bungie. Let us know in our Discord. Discord.gg/Guardian Downcast, or visit our website at guardiandowncast.com, where you can leave us a voicemail comment or shoot us an email with your comment. However you decide, we want to hear from you. Special thanks to ElmmerFuddGames and RNGGator for sharing their stories on the Roundtable this week. I'll have their contact information also in the show notes down below. But do you have a topic you would like to bring to us on a future Roundtable episode? If so, DM me in the Discord, and I'll put you on the list. You can find me at Todd the Gator just about anywhere, and all the ways you can contact me are also down in the show notes below. I also have another podcast, Destiny Help Desk, where I talk about a singular topic in the Destinyverse. So check that out if you haven't already. I have a new video series coming out in a few days on my YouTube channel, Todd the Gator. It's based on PvE players, or maybe us older gamers who've kind of sat out the Crucible. I'm trying to bring people back to give it a shot. especially, since they're trying to find other games or repeatable content to enjoy playing the game Destiny 2. Thanks to the Patreon community for giving back to the show and helping us create a listener-supported podcast like this one. Thanks to our Dungeon Champion patrons, that would be Technical, Raffi, Wicked, Trinity, and Deadpool 1 Merc. A thank you to our Raid Boss patrons, that's Jealous, Frostbite, Amazing Taco King, and Nico, aka Jersey. Thank you all for giving back to the show, and it really helps out. Every little bit does, so I thank you for that. Remember, we're Guardian Downcast, your stories, your community, your destiny. And be good to your fellow Guardians in the Destinyverse.
Guardians are measured by their ability to come back from defeat. So stand. Fight!
Thank you all so very much for listening. And later, Guardian.
This is all just for the live show. Good.
I want to make sure I'm recording on software and I'm recording on OBS as well. And people say they cannot hear you guys.
Nope, they can't hear us. Okay, we're going to fix that. Bear with us, folks.
We'll get this taken care of. I can hear myself. I keep hearing myself back. I'm recording on software and I'm recording on OBS.
Okay. What's happening?
This is wonderful.
Fixing. Yeah, you're wonderful, dude.
Let's go to active sources. We'll get this taken care of. I can hear myself.
Keep singing Wonderwall like you were earlier. So if
Singing
your voice
Wonderwall?
comes through,
Let's
people
do
in
that.
chat,
Yeah,
people
please.
will know. Yeah, go ahead, Runga. Take it away.
Wonderwall?
Wonderwall. Wonderwall.
What are we wondering about?
What a Wonderwall. What's in a Wonderwall?
Baby
Welcome back to the show, lads, where you've got yourself a couple of blokes sitting around the round table, sipping on a pint discussing topics regarding Destiny.